Welcome to the Hudson Valley Disc Golf Podcast. This week we got Alex, Kaitlyn, Jason, Randy, and Corey. Jaimen should be on shortly, and Evan should be here after Prospect Dubs. Our plan is to talk about the DisCap Series 2025 number 1 at Thacher, New England Team Challenge D-Pool Finals, and do a post-mortem on New York Team Challenge 2024-25 season. Before we begin, though, Corey, what's a crust-off?
A crust-off? Oh, is that like some generic Uncrustable BS?
Didn't you post a picture?
No, I was the one who posted that.
Oh, I thought that I saw, you know why? Because Corey's name's under it.
Because he responded to it, yeah.
Oh, so Alex, you were actually the one who saw the crust-up. Where did you see that?
That was at Team Challenge Finals. One of our teammates, Connor Eckhart, said he was going to stop and grab some Uncrustables for the squad, and he was going to stop at, I believe it was Costco. But apparently they don't carry Uncrustables, they carry crust-offs, which are very similar, except they're square. And I don't know if I trust them.
So you didn't have one?
I tried one. It seemed fine. But then again, when we go over the results of how team finals went, team finals went, we'll see how those things go. I
will say that because they're square, they do eliminate the one big knock I've always had about Uncrustables. It's like it's circular. You're losing the edges. You know, they don't have crust, but the edges still has some content there.
What if the bread that they bake for the Uncrustable is more circular shape?
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm just saying this has more surface area. Now, surface area does not dictate a good sandwich or not. It's not all about surface area, but I just always thought it was weird that they were round.
You're just a big corners guy. Like corners more than...
I don't like to cut corners, Corey.
Curves.
That's me.
Even with, name brand Uncrustables, you get a little bit of off distribution of, peanut butter and jelly. With the crust offs specifically, the corners definitely felt like they were all peanut butter and no jelly. Okay. So I wasn't a huge fan of that for sure.
That's a fair criticism of them. Having not had either, I can't judge, but I just thought it was interesting that there is a competitor. There is a Hydrox to the Oreo. Actually, Hydrox came
was
first.
The original. Yeah.
I would do a what came first trivia category, and that's always one of my favorites.
Nice.
So you mentioned that they had them at Team Challenge. I guess that's the best place to start then. Stonykillers had their D-Pool Finals at 501. How'd that go?
Not great. So to start off, it's been, 50s, occasional jump into the 60s as far as weather goes for the past, couple weeks now. It's been pretty nice. This weekend, we wake up and there's about an inch of snow on our cars when we go to leave. And this is, 4 or 5 a.m., depending on where we're leaving from. As we keep driving, it doesn't get any better. It gets significantly worse, in fact. There's a lot of snow on like I-90 and everything. So everybody's slow in getting to the place. So we originally were trying to get there at 7, but we left a little bit early. 7:15 was our first matchup, so we wanted to get there with some extra time. But it ended up taking us an extra half hour to get to the site. So we were getting there at 7:30, and theoretically, matchups for round 1 were supposed to start at 7:15. So we're already running behind there. Luckily, 501 had some staff out there directing people to overflow parking and getting everything ready. So I was able to get there, hop out of the car, and just run over to where we're doing matchups and get everything set there. So that was reasonably calm, as good as you can expect. But we're still looking at, 3 to 4 inches of very wet, heavy snow all over everything. And I don't know how familiar you are with 501, but their T-pads are the rubber mats, which are not something that I'm particularly comfortable throwing on when it's wet, especially with like the snow and such. It'll slide all over. But we get there and we do our first matchup. So we're up against Oak Ridge. So Oak Ridge is the team that we were unable to play during the season due to awful weather. And we didn't want to travel during awful weather. So it just seems pretty destined that no matter when we're going to play these guys, it's going to be bad. But, that's how it goes. We were able to get through things pretty reasonably. We got our pairings together in the car. I was texting with Kat, trying to get things all organized, figure out who we're playing in doubles, who we're playing in singles, who is going to be there on time and who is not going to be there on time, because that'll affect how many doubles pairings we have. It's all over the place. But, we get there. We get our pairings done. I feel pretty good about the pairings. It's nothing too crazy, but this is a team that we haven't played before. We know on paper they're a very strong team, So we're kind of going into it with, not the highest morale, at least on my card. We're feeling kind of annoyed that it's awful weather. We're going in. We know we have two teams that are very strong and are very likely to beat us if we play them. But, we're still there. We're still made finals. So we're going to give it our all.
It looks like the first matchup was the women's doubles. We had talked in the past. Is there a strategy there? Because that seems to be almost like a common theme in some of these team challenge matches.
Yeah, so because there are so few women on a team compared to men, it's a little bit easier to determine if you've got a better matchup on paper with ladies or, mixed cards, or trying to have the ladies play singles or something like that.
How many women did you start this match with?
We had 3. The other squad also had 3.
Okay. It could have been a doubles and a singles match with women, or 2 doubles with a mixed?
Yeah, so you could do a lot of different things. You could have 3 singles for all 3 ladies matches. Okay. You could have a doubles and a singles. You could have 3 mixed pairings. You could have a doubles that's all ladies and then a mixed doubles. There's a couple of different outcomes that could be there. Oak Ridge chose to throw first, and they threw their ladies as their first throw, so they had evaluated things as they wanted the doubles match at the very least.
Did you know which women were going to be doubles partners before they threw out theirs?
We were pretty confident. If we were going to throw ladies doubles, that was probably our pairing that we were going to throw. There was always the opportunity to audible on the fly, but that was pretty well locked in.
All right. How did you match up this Randy with this Tyler guy? Are they familiar with each other?
I think they play together every once in a while.
Oh, okay.
You'll have to tag in Randy to tell you a little bit more about that one.
How'd your match go, Randy?
My match was good. I feel like it would be a sick curveball to break us up once in a while. Not that I want you to do it, but I think the other captains would just be shaken by it.
So last year when we did finals at Maple Hill, we split you guys up and did mixed pairings, and it worked out. I think both of you guys won your matches. So
I definitely did not win one of those matches, but yeah, it did work pretty well, especially for Kat, who got to play with Tyler instead of me. But whatever, I'm not salty. But no, my match was fun. I played with this guy who I recognized pretty much immediately when he walked up, Zach Podhorzer, and I played my very first tournament ever at his house. He has a full course on his property in Vermont. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was just looking on Disc Golf Scene and found that and played it. So it was really cool to catch up with him and find out about all the changes he's done. And I think he also designed Westy Acres. Nice. So he's got a ton of experience. Yeah, really cool guy. But yeah, our match on paper was super evenly matched, I think, ratings wise. I started off pretty hot. I think I took 2 solo birdies to start. And then, Tyler cleaned up a lot of my putts through most of the round after that. And we just kind of crept ahead the whole time. And, they missed a few putts when it mattered. And I think we took it by a few strokes. Pretty comfortable win, which felt great.
I see on the whiteboard little dots. Is that in response to what they did with the other match with who throws first?
Correct. Yeah, that's something we made an effort to keep up, is put a dot for the people who are supposed to throw first. And I think that was particularly important for this one because we had 21 players, so 42 total players that needed to fit on 9 cards. 9 cards, 9 holes, because there's a whole other match going on the other 9 holes. So we ended up shifting around a number of things. We've got a couple of sixums on there just because you have to, a couple of doubles cards that are playing all on their own. But we really needed to keep those dots there just to make sure that everybody knew who was supposed to be throwing first in any given matchup.
You played doubles as well, Alex?
I did. We ended up switching around some things. So I played with Andrew Dorrell this time around.
Not Sam?
Not Sam. Yeah. Sam ended up playing singles for this one. Sam was initially set up to be a doubles pairing, but then because people weren't able to get there on time, we had to drop a doubles pairing, and everything kind of shifted around. But I did play with Andrew.
Had you played with him before?
I played with him a couple of times. Most of the time he's on the other pairing from me, playing weekly Stonekill dubs. But, obviously I know he's a really strong player. We recruited him for Stonekill as soon as we could. He's obviously really strong. I felt like I was holding up my end at least a little bit, but we were running low on time. We were going into hole 17, and we probably had about 20 to 25 minutes left. Our first round, we started right at 8:15, and we gave ourselves 3 hours, which is the classic team challenge time limit where you can't start a hole after 11:15 or whatever the number was. So we were running pretty low on time at that point. We were down 2 strokes, which is obviously not where you want to be. But Andrew had a great drive on 17 down the hill, put us in a little bit of an awkward position, but had a birdie putt. Our opponents missed their putt. I missed the putt, and then he stepped up and zipped it in with an excellent spin putt. He's got those down on lock. So we're back to 1 down. We play 18, which is a par 4. It takes up a chunk of time. I kind of throw us off into the weeds, but luckily our opponents struggle on their upshot, so they missed their birdie. We took both Andrew's throws to have a tap in for birdie there. So we go into our last hole with, like 1 minute on the clock. So we're definitely going to be able to play our last hole, but we're not going to play any others. And Andrew puts it to like 20 feet. And our opponents are at like 30 feet. They miss their putt. We make ours. And in those 3 holes, we made back 3 strokes to win that match, which was awesome.
And we didn't mention the women won their match as well.
Yep.
All 3 women looks like won.
Yeah. I was a little bit curious as to why they chose to do that, because on paper, that is a good setup for us. But, that's how it goes. Looking down the list, we had a number of, not upsets, but, ones where on paper they were expected to lose, but flipped in our direction, which is awesome. I know Connor was going to have a struggle, and Kevin definitely were going to have a struggle on their card. So it was great to see those two get that win. As we were coming in, we were doing the math, and eventually it got to that point. With 21 people, you need 10 and a half to force a tie and 11 to win. And we got to that 11 and a half point, and everybody was incredibly excited and hyped over that one, or at least I was. Coming back after, the whole fiasco with getting the match scheduled with them, it was great to see that, they were right to be slightly afraid of us and not let us, schedule things differently in our regular season match.
You said you started at 8:15. Was that the time you had planned on starting, or did you have to start a bit late because of the weather?
We might have bumped it back a little bit, but it was in the range of, where we expected to start for sure.
All right. So you guys win your first match. That means you win your second match and you're D-Pool champs. If you lose your second match, then you have to play for the right to move up, right? You have to play a third match. So how'd the other match go?
The other match was Diamonds versus Crane, which is on paper the 2 versus 3 seed. But personally, I think if we had played Oak Ridge, we had a chance of beating them, or at least knocking them down the standings a little bit with the point percentage. And I think Diamonds, on paper, should have been the number 1 seed going into this. I don't know the exact scores. I don't have the board up, but Diamonds won pretty handily over Crane. So we knew we were going to be up against, an even stronger team than we just played. But, we're always going to go into it the same deal. We're running high on emotion on the off the win there, and we're just hoping to keep that running into round 2.
And you played the Diamonds in the regular season, right?
We did play the Diamonds. They came to us and they beat us at home, which is, not a great sign.
How'd that go?
Less good. In between rounds 1 and 2 is when we had lunch. So that was where I was eating the crust offs and, had 1 or 2 of those. But we did our matchups. I still was running pretty high off the previous win, to be honest. So even though, looking back, these aren't the best matchups that could have happened, I was still feeling like, if everybody's running hot, everybody's playing well, then I think they have a chance to win.
It's kind of like Jaimen said last week, where you have to probably spread yourself a little thin and hope everybody plays above their head, kind of.
Exactly. We had everybody there at that point, so we're up to 22 players. So we've got our extra doubles matchup in there.
There wasn't any kind of penalty for that, right?
No, the minimum is 18. We just happen to have 21 instead of 22. So we tried to keep things running as much as possible. We switched up 1 or 2 doubles pairings, added in, 1 or 2 that we were planning on doing but didn't have the chance to. And, basically nothing worked. Andrew and I played against Duncan Farquharson and JD, I'm blanking on his last name, but it was a pretty calm card. Duncan and Andrew knew each other from previous experiences playing college disc golf. And, I was playing pretty hot. Andrew was playing pretty hot. And, the score says 50 to 51, but realistically, we were up by, 2 or 3 strokes going into the last 2 holes, and we were just playing for par to make sure we didn't give up anything too crazy.
Nice. Randy, you played with Tyler again?
Yeah, I played with Tyler, played against 2 guys that played, or rather acted like they'd been married for 30 years. It was a wonderful chemistry that they had. In the first round, we definitely didn't hit trees and we had a lot of luck and it was a lot of ham and eggs. Second round, a little more ham and ham, had some more hardships. We were up 2 for like the front 9, and then we were down 2 after like 2 holes on the back 9, just with, a bad bogey, and they, they birdied 2 in a row or something like that. And, when you're trying to come back with limited holes, we were a little bit too aggressive, missed some birdies. I think we tried to see who could get furthest off the fairway on our second to last hole, which I don't recommend, because we were thinking if we eagled this par 4, we could maybe tie it up. Yeah, so that didn't work. We bogeyed that hole instead and ended up losing by, I think, 4 strokes or something like that.
Who said to who, hold my beer before throwing? Because that's what it sounds like.
I was like, I'm just going to go destroyer on this hole, even though it's not going to work. But it's the only way I'm going to get all the way down there, because it's like a 600-foot hole or something like that. So, playing for maybe like 150-foot throw in. So I just hit a tree as hard as I could. That was like 150 feet in front of me, and it kicked dead right. And Tyler said, oh, okay, I'll just go mid-range. And then he grabs a driver out of his bag and does the same exact thing. And it goes even further in the wrong direction. But it was funny that we were down a few strokes with 2 holes to play. It was really unlikely to come back. So it was more funny than anything.
Now, going into the second match, I know in the past you have mentioned that your least fun thing is that third match in these finals.
Mm-hmm.
Were you thinking going in, because the Diamonds are pretty good, were you thinking we're playing 3 matches as soon as you won the first one?
No, I was pretty confident we were playing 3 matches before we even played the first match.
Oh, okay.
I just kind of knew that was our road to the C pool if we were going to make it happen. Just with the Diamonds being so strong, it would take a kind of more of a flub on their part, I think, for us to take it from them. So yeah, no, mentally prepared for 3 matches for sure.
All right. So anything else on that match?
No.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that one as well.
Right. Well, so what happened in the quote unquote losers bracket? That was Oak Ridge and Crane?
Correct. Again, I didn't really pay attention to what the actual scores were, but we were pretty confident that Oak Ridge was going to get that win, and that is what ended up happening. So we were lined up for a rematch in round 3.
Oh, okay. So Oak Ridge again.
Correct. So again, going in, they chose to throw first, and this time they chose to throw a mixed pair, which I think is a much better choice for them.
Mm-hmm.
However, they decided to throw their top PDGA rated player and their top woman together as their first throw just into the blank board. So realistically, Gillis McDougall at 1,002 rated is going to beat most of the teams that we could potentially throw out there. If we really wanted to, we could have done something like thrown Dave Hudson or one of our other very high rated players, but the good money was on us losing that match no matter who we threw out there. So we decided to take a strategic sacrifice, so to speak, and throw some of our lower rated players at that and just, say, screw it. They've wasted their high level player on this matchup. Let's do our best to take advantage of that in the other matchups. We kind of anticipated them wanting to do more mixed pairings, so we responded with our ladies card, which worked out nicely. Same deal. As we went through, we tried to make the adjustments again, tried to go back to anything that was working in round 1, anything that wasn't working in round 2, tried to fix that up. And, to a certain extent, we got there. Ended up with myself and Andrew for a third time. We were running pretty hot, feeling pretty good. And we ended up in what on paper was a little bit of a mismatch where we were not significantly higher rated, but higher rated to the point where we were pretty comfortable with that, pretty comfortable that we were going to win. And we were a little bit disappointed that that match didn't end up being a little bit closer. We'll see how that plays out. Randy, you want to go through your one on this one?
Yeah. So me and Tyler were partnered against this younger guy, James, and an older guy, Corey. And James was an absolute killer. He was definitely like a Discmania, just full send in the woods. Like it was nuts, some of the shots he was hitting. And, unfortunately for him, his partner was not helping a ton. Me and Tyler just went as ham and eggs as possible. Had a really fun round. And I think we shot like our hottest round of the day. I unfortunately didn't see a lot of scores because the boards weren't really set up for scores, but we ended up shooting like 11 down. And James shot, I think, 8 down basically on his own. Like, it was wild. Like, that would have tied us in our first round of the day. I think we shot 8 down. So, like, shout out to James for just absolutely killing it. But it just wasn't enough. We were able to, close it out with a few holes left, like playing safe in the woods and not having to worry too much.
So mixed loss, ladies won. Tyler and Randy won. Andrew and I started out 5 down through 5, and we were feeling really good about that. We knew this was a little bit of a mismatch. We were absolutely crushing it. Opponents were only 2 down through 5. And then we kind of slowed down a little bit, both hit a couple of trees. Our opponents had a couple of, I don't want to say miracle throw-ins because, they put themselves in positions to get it. But, they had an 80-footer that the first person laid up and the second person just whaled an 80-mile-an-hour forehand at, and it hit chains and stayed. And then, another one where they made a 45-foot putt. And then we just kept parring through those and kept parring and kept parring. And then, we missed a birdie hole that they got. And then it was even. And then they were up 1. And then they were up 2. And then we were pretty much just, I don't know exactly what happened. We're gassed at the end of 3 rounds or whatever, but we took a couple of bogeys and suddenly we were 4 down at the end of the round. Opponents were 6 down. So we started out 5 down and then went +1 through the next 13 holes, which is really not what we should be doing. But, that's how it goes. So we come in and, most of the results are already in. Of course, the result that I write down for our match is the one that officially puts Oak Ridge over the edge, over that 11.5 point threshold, because there's 22 players now. There's still 1 card out there. And I'm like, I swear, if this loss happens because I'm the one who, got overconfident and then ran out of gas at the end of the round, I'm going to be so upset with myself. But the last match came in as a loss for us. So it ended up being 13.5 to 8.5. If my match had flipped and then a singles match had flipped, that would have gotten us in the lead. But, at that point, there's any number of matches that also could have flipped. So it's frustrating. We came very close. But we did end up losing that match and had to drive home sad after 3 rounds in the rain and snow and everything there.
All right.
Yeah, that's sort of our story when it comes to finals. Last year when we went to finals and just went loss, I think a lot of us were like, okay, this is fine. we didn't really expect to move up this year, so at least we didn't play 3 rounds and then lose. This time, after that first result, I really thought we could have, but that's how it goes. On paper, they were the better team. I think, not to be rude to the Oak Ridge captains, I think we ran circles around them in matchups. I think we really crushed it. We got as many good matchups as we possibly could, and 3 rounds is a lot of disc golf to play, and it's tough to beat a team twice in one day. So
yeah, I was just gonna say that's a tough ask. Yeah,
that's how it goes.
So Jaimen, obviously Stonykillers would have been ideal to move up to C Pool. Of the other 3, so Diamonds, Oak Ridge, or Crane, which is the furthest?
Diamonds. Maple's the farthest, but I mean, all of them are significantly better. All 4 of those are day trips, where last year we did not have a single day trip, except for the one that some of us decided was just going to be a day trip regardless.
All right. And who came down to C?
The other guys, who is another Bellamy team, so we only have 1 Bellamy team, but another Borderland team. So the people coming down from B to C did not change our driving too much. There's 2 Borderland teams, only 1 Bellamy because the other Bellamy moved up, and now Diamonds and Oak Ridge.
I just I linked the overall map of who moved up, who moved down.
Oh. Pete Violet puts this together every year. It's a work of art.
Oh yeah, I saw that. So you get Bammers and Bare Bottoms?
Bammers and Bare Bottoms are moving up.
Where are they located?
I don't know. I haven't actually gone and looked at
Bare Bottom is Vermont.
Yeah, that's
They're the one Vermont team. I don't know where Bammers is.
Oh, nice.
So New England team channel, is that so everybody's done?
Everybody is done. Yep. They figured out who's moving up and who's moving down. So everything's set and locked for next year, assuming there's no random teams dropping out somewhere. But that's how it goes.
Heck yeah. I'm just looking at Jason mapped out the C Pool.
Yeah. That's a pretty nice little map there.
All right. I wanted to point out the Tower of Power Jason Gorsage posted at the DisCap forum was made available as read only. So I thought it'd be fun to introduce a new segment called This Week in DisCap History. Our first installment comes from April 15th, 2015, where Morgan posted in a topic called Snow Report 2014-2015. Meltage between Sunday and today is cataclysmic and stupephoric. All the tees are melted, as are most of the fairways. Ice-breaking party on the 22nd is canceled because what ice? And that was your This Week in DisCap history. Most everybody here played at the DisCap Series 2025 #1 at Thacher. Who didn't play?
I didn't.
I did not.
All right, let me go over some results and we'll hear about some rounds then. The DisCap Series 2025 #1, Voorheesville, New York. Michael Schwartz, tournament director, had 94 players. And now, with it being tee times, I'm just reminding myself before we get too far into this, ties don't get resolved because you probably weren't on the same card necessarily. And even if you were, not everybody else was. So you don't really resolve tie.
Right.
Luna Pelton won the girls junior under 15 division. Jackson Bliss won mixed junior under 15, MJ 15. MA3 mixed amateur 3, Ben Blaufus shot a -7 to win that. Mixed amateur 2, MA2, Ross O'Toole shot a -3, beat Charles Carpenter Jr. III by 1 stroke. Marcia Focht won the women's amateur 60-plus division, the FA 60 division. Mixed amateur 60-plus, Jim Burns shot a -8, 3 strokes better than Lewis Davis. The FA 50 women's amateur 50 division, Mindy Potts is your winner, shooting a -5. MA 50 mixed amateur 50, Jeff Darling shot a -9. Beat Peter Cornish by 2 strokes. Lisa Lundquist won the FA 40 women's amateur 40 division. Evan, you played in the MA 40 mixed amateur 40 division. How'd that go?
It went pretty well. So yeah, Friday was pretty cool. When these tournaments got announced, I was able to take all those days off from work, which is pretty nice. So once I brought my daughter to school, actually went over to SPW for a pre-tournament practice round with my card mates. With the flex, we got to pick our times, and so therefore your card mates. So I played with both halves of Camel Case Corey, as well as Eric Worthy signed Struna. And we all went to SPW and played a tag match from the whites to kind of loosen up, which was a lot of fun. It was super wet there, as to be expected, but that was a nice fun warm-up. We had the 12-10 tee time, which was the second card. Tim was playing MA40, and then Brian Monahan and Eric were both playing MA2, so we were all playing from the blue tees. And the card in front of us included Derek Stasinski, who was in MA40, so could kind of see what he was doing if I'd wanted to. But I will say I like the feature in the scoring app where you can turn off current scores. So if I don't think about it, sometimes that helps me out. So we started out, took a bogey on the first hole, which, not a great start, but kind of settled down after that. Tim had a good hot start. He was 2 down through 5, and I was actually 2 over. Then we got to hole 6, which if you've played there has the big drop off to the left side. There's a fence, and then it's a tight, short, you got a short little gap to get to the opening of into the woods. Short hole, but pretty tight. And unfortunately, when Brian threw, he clipped a tree and his disc went sailing off to the left, like well over the edge, like long gone. I got a nice tree kick, which put me up inside circle, and I made a birdie putt. And Tim took a bogey, so I got 2 strokes back on him there. Just having a good time. Great vibes on the card. Let me think. Notable shot for me on hole 16. We had a threesome behind us, which had Greg Kurtz, Kevin Kroenke, and I'm not sure who their third was. So they were kind of, right behind us all day because there's 3 of them and 4 of us, but it was, no rush. They watched us tee off. But 16 is a par 4. It's over 500 feet from the blue tee. And I had one of my best shots of the day. Got a little round of applause from the older guys. So that was pretty cool. I had a great upshot too. Parked it for a birdie. Hole 17. So 17, again, you're coming up onto the cliffs and the drop off to the left, and there's another fence. And unfortunately, once again, Brian hit a tree and kicked left. But in this case, where the fence is, there's probably about 30 feet of ground before it really drops off. So we walk up and we're looking, you could see the disc literally kind of leaning on the last tree on the very edge. Eric kind of just nimbly hops over the fence, and Tim Goyette used the most authoritative dad voice I've heard in a long time. First and last name, Eric Struna, froze him in his tracks. You get back on this side of that fence right now. And Eric was like, did as he was told. I said, we could probably get it with a retriever. You'd have to go over the fence, but we agreed that we would leave the $20 disc.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny because I've played there before. I always promise my wife I won't climb any fences to get discs there because it's just not worth it. So Tim really, if you know Tim, he's got 3 small kids and I'm sure he uses that voice a lot at home. So on hole 17, I should have made a decent makeable par putt, but didn't, unfortunately. So it wasn't until the 18th tee I checked the scores, saw that Tim and I were tied at +1. Long story short, I took a par on that hole. He took a bogey. We both had par putts, and his was a little longer and going uphill, and mine was downhill. I made it. So I knew that I was 1 stroke up on Tim. I knew that Derek had finished at +3, so I was in the lead, and I just had to wait for a few other people to finish. I was watching James Varcala's scores, and he was on fire. I didn't find out till later that he accidentally played the white tees because the rest of his card was playing whites, and he just didn't realize. So unfortunately, that's why he got the DNF. But for a while, I was like, man, he's crushing. Hopefully I can hang on for second. And then suddenly the scores flipped and he's on the bottom. So I just had to wait for Terry Hudson and William Haviland to finish. And they did. And I hung on for my first ever win, which is pretty exciting.
Heck yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks very much. Yeah, it did not feel like a 901 rated round. I don't know if the rounds were kind of inflated that day, but I'll take a 901 and my first victory.
Nicely done.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That happens sometimes once you play a good round, and the frustrating part about a really good round is it just feels like you did things right. It doesn't feel like you played super great or anything like that.
I am no stranger to that feeling.
But it's pretty cool now if I go to my PDJ page to see career wins 1. So that's pretty neat for me.
That's awesome, yeah.
Nice.
And hopefully you also learned a lesson of knowing what tee pad you're on. You're playing from when there's multiple tee pads or baskets.
Yeah, if that's a curse, I think it's been lifted and passed on to someone else maybe.
It only takes one time to be like, ooh, yeah, I'm going to not do that.
All right, nice shooting. So FA1, Women's Amateur 1, Julia May Marger won that. And MA1, Mixed Amateur 1. Alex, you played in that, right? How'd that go?
I did. And anyone tuning in for the first time, I'm playing MA1 because I'm trying to get as many points as possible towards an AM Worlds invite because it's going to be in Buffalo for 2026. So I'm trying to beat as many people as possible. I'm not too concerned about, score. Obviously, I'd like my rating to be good, and that's going to correlate with beating more people. But, I'm just trying to get the most value for each tournament. But I played in the last card to go out, which was an excellent card. We had myself, Randy, Corey, and a newcomer that I didn't know before, but I think Corey and or Randy had played with at one point named James Manchester. Nice guy. Also playing MA1. So he was the only one I was, directly playing against on that card. I had not played this course since Helderberg Championship, and that is the only other time I played this course. So I was very used to throwing bergs on all these holes. The course has gone through a redesign since then. So there are some holes that I just completely didn't know anything about. But Randy was there, and Randy is pretty familiar with the course, and he was able to, guide me through the things that I didn't know anything about, which I was very appreciative of.
No problemo.
Things started out a little bit slow. Had a lucky birdie on our second hole, and then a stupid bogey on our third hole, which, kind of balances things out. But, kind of got into a groove as we were going through. After that, kind of went par, then started getting, racking up the birdies through the back 9, and was sitting at -5 going into hole 18, and missed the gap, took a bogey, and dropped down to tied for 4th instead of tied for 2nd, which only missed out on, 2 players worth of points. So I'm not too upset about it, but, still would have been nice to keep that number up a little bit higher.
Do you know how many points you got?
I ended up with 65 extra points. That's 5 points per player beaten or tied. And I beat or tied 13 players, 5 points, 65.
What's your total?
470 out of 2,000, which is the goal number.
All right, almost a quarter of the way there.
Almost entirely from 405 points from Fool's Fest. But,
well, hey.
A lot of tournaments left.
Exactly. So the MA1 division was won by David Hodjanowski. He shot a -7, and he beat Tyler Gannon and Joshua Lee by 2 strokes. Greg Kurtz won the MP60 division. MP40 Mixed Pro 40 was won by the Tower of Power Jason Gorsage, shot a -5. Kaitlyn, how'd FPO go?
Oh, not much to talk about for me. I probably shot my worst round the past year. I think slow enough even to be dropped from my rating, so that's positive.
How often do you get to play this course?
I haven't played it since Jeremy ran a tournament there. I think it was 2 years ago now.
Hmm.
I used to play it a lot, like way back in the day when Garrett and I first started playing disc golf, but we don't really get out there that often. It's just like a little bit far. There's stuff that's closer, you know. But I really enjoyed all the new holes. I thought all the holes that were taken out and the new holes that were put in made it a lot better, and the tee pads. I haven't been there since tee pads were put in. But yeah, my round, I would say, I think I drove to the circle or inside the circle or like on a par 4, look for birdie on probably 12 of the 8 holes and made one of those birdie putts for a singular birdie on the round. And then I got a triple bogey on hole 8, which is the hole that overlooks the parking lot on the rock, because I drove inside the circle and I thought, wouldn't it be so cool to get this birdie, and proceeded to putt down the hill. So that was fun. But other than that, it was extremely uneventful. Just lots and lots and lots of missed birdie putts. So.
All right. Well, you still won the FPO division by 2 strokes over Kaitlyn Bemis. So a win's a win, you know.
Yeah.
All right. And then that leaves us with the MPO division, Mixed Pro Open. Randy, how'd that go?
Well, I had completely blocked this round out of my mind after finals, but I just relived it looking at the scorecards. But yeah, playing with Corey and Alex was awesome. The vibe was super fun. Corey was playing well, so it was nice to be competitive. I think through like the first 6 holes, we were tied, like 3 down. I was feeling really good. And then the next hole, I was CTP with like a 15-footer and just had like a total putting miscue where like the disc came out like wobbly and like wide right, and it landed like the same exact distance that I had just putted from, and then went and missed that one because I was completely shaken by that goof. So took a bogey after pretty much had a birdie for that, and then kind of just got nervy for a few holes and got another random bogey. I got it back together though. I got some really good birdies. I had 7 birdies overall. Got to 18, still like in contention for cash. And then hole 18 is maybe the hardest hole on the course in terms of like scoring spread. Very easy to bogey, pretty tight gap off the tee. I think we all missed our tee shots. I don't know if any of us pured it, and you know, I had a look for par from like 30 feet downhill, you know, almost made it. It landed and rolled to like 10, so like thinking tap in bogey, I'm like mentally checked out, and I just go to tap in my 10-footer and it splashes off the right side by a little bit. I end up double bogeying that last hole and driving down to 4th, which felt really silly and, you know, very, you know, wasted a few strokes. Could have been a pretty good rated round. The ratings were good. And, you know, those 2 goofy putts were the difference between, you know, above my rating and a little below my rating. So kind of a letdown. I somehow snuck into last cash though. So I'll take my $5 and sleep well.
What did you spend it on?
What did I spend it on? Probably Pringles for the car for finals.
All right. You could have got some crust offs, but that's cool. All right. So you tied for 4th with Troy Vasari. Corey, you played in this?
I did play in this. I did. Yep.
How'd that go?
So I think Randy was the first person to sign up for this tee time, and I think he was the only one when I figured that. Well, first of all, he picked the last tee time. That's usually my strat because I like to see what everyone else does. I'm not usually in a huge rush to play anyways.
What time was that?
5 o'clock, the last tee time. Except for this time, I spent all day just being anxious to go play. I took the day off. My parents came out for the weekend, which means I was up early because they came out early. But I think at one point I was like tired of just like walking around the house. So I took some discs out and practice putted for a little bit around 1 o'clock, and then figured it was still too early to like really warm up. And then like 3 o'clock came around. I figured, okay, I'll go outside and throw discs around the house and putt some more. And then I still had to wait another 2 hours to finally play. Randy and I had actually met up to play a practice round the Wednesday before, which was the first time I saw the course after its recent changes. And like Kaitlyn was saying, it's definitely better. Even just having tee pads is huge compared to like the lumpy rubber mats that used to be there. Having actual tee signs feels great as opposed to like, I forgot what Kenji used to call them, but they're basically just like metal trip hazards in the ground that were at perfect like ankle height to really slice you open.
I have a scar on my shin from one of those.
I remember him talking about that. That was one of his goals for a year when I would ask him.
Some of the holes that were taken out, I don't know that there's really any holes now that have clear safety hazards. as far as like really bringing people into play. I mean, if you overshoot a hole or something like that, yeah, sure, you could have that at any course. But they definitely pulled out some of the holes that were probably more problematic, and some of the new holes that they added, one or two of them might be a little quirky, but they're shorter holes and they kind of force you to do some fun placement shots. So overall, I thought the course is a huge improvement compared to what it used to be, and it was actually enjoyable to play. So yeah, starting on like the last card, I think other than Randy, there's one or two other MPO players out there that still like had, maybe a quarter of their round left. So I had a pretty good idea of what square I would need to throw. I think Joe Byerly at the time was like one of the, I don't think Azariah was in, I'm not sure what time he started, but I thought that like throwing 10 down was going to be needed in good conditions there. And through 9 holes, I was almost halfway there. I believe hole 10 is a hole that like you kind of need a pretty decent pump on your shot. It's like a low ceiling. You probably have to throw like some like slowly turning shot that doesn't turn too much so it nose dives into the ground. PJ listed at 382 and I absolutely parked it. I would say it's probably one of the harder birdies to get on the course, and it was not in the list of holes that I think I'd be getting that day. So after I birdied hole 10 to get to 5 down, I was feeling pretty good.
Randy, since you birdied it too, is it one of the harder birdies to get at that course?
It is if you're throwing like 160 gram beast.
What about a max weight beast, Randy? Because I don't know if that one is allowed to not do the lightweight one on that one.
No, it is a hard hole. You're throwing over a small hill and then under branches. So you do have to, for a max distance shot, you have to like control your angles. You can't just chuck it. I had to make like a 30-footer, I think, to birdie it. So Corey definitely got me on that one.
And like the basket's kind of on a mound, so I really don't want a 15-foot putt on that hole. I'm trying to get real close. I think I made a joke that if I got to 30 feet, I guess we were walking down, if I got to 30 feet, I would just lay up. But yeah, so other than that, I mean, I played pretty clean throughout the entire round. I saved a couple of good pars. But there was definitely some of the holes there are definitely must gets, and I did not get them. Like hole 6 is like PJ says 180 feet. There's like no reason why. It's literally Jaimen's question of like 200-foot shot. There's really not anything in the way. And you just got to get yourself to, within 20 feet, long, short, left, right to have a putt. And for some reason, I could not get that hole even in practice.
What did you throw?
During the round, I flicked the Gator 3, I think. And I came up like 25 short, maybe 30 feet short.
Probably should have gone with the AVR X3.
I should have went with a Firebird. And that was the joke that me and Randy kept making, is that like a lot of these holes just like, nah, screw it. Throw a Firebird, forehand, backhand, whatever.
I have regrets not going Firebird on some of those short holes.
Just like, are you going to get knocked for it? Probably. But are you going to score? Probably. So yeah, hole 16 is a pretty short par 4. That's a must get. At that point, I was 2, 4, 6. I was already 8 down, and I threw a garbage shot. Like I almost had a chance of going over that stupid fence and going OB. But I saved the par from being off the fairway. So I par 16, which is like this should be an easy birdie, par 4. Hole 17 is just kind of like a little chip shot. It's kind of a quirky hole, but I get that birdie to get to 9 down. At this point, everyone else is done. I have 3 strokes on second place. I'm pretty certain I'm not going to lose this, but I was still trying to get to 10 down just because I was joking about it before. But hole 18, I mean, it's only like a 275-foot shot, but you have to hit like a 12-foot wide gap from like 60 feet away or something. I'm not sure. I did not hit it in practice, and I did not hit it during the tournament. I bounced off one of the trees. I'm barely in front of the short tee, but in the rough. Basically, a bogey is the best I'm going to be able to do. And even that had a fight for. I think if I was to just try to get an easy 3 or like kind of like guarantee a 3, I would just throw a forehand through the gap and then from there scramble. So I was a little disappointed when I take the bogey on 18, I submit the scorecards, and the round rating comes in and it says 995. I'm like, damn it. If I just would have parred this stupid hole, it would have been 1,000 rated. But it did not feel like a 1,000 rated round. I feel like at that course, like a true 1,000 rated would have to be like 14 down or something, 13 down at least. But it is what it was, and it's what it turned out to be. So I will take my $34 and the tally under the career wins page, which I think now I have like 4, and all 4 MPOs are flex starts, flex series.
Jason, I've heard a few times people saying that the ratings were a little boosted. What are the facts? It's got 94 players. It's only one round. Is there anything that you could think of that would tell you going into it that the ratings might be inflated?
Not sure. I mean, typically ratings are like net zero. So if the higher rated players shoot worse, that'll boost the ratings. And if the lower players shoot hotter, then, that'll kind of knock them down. So
we can blame Randy? Is that what you're saying?
You're welcome, everybody.
Who is the top rated?
Joe Byerly is a 997, and he shot 5 down.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of like some of the higher rated people not performing as well as they should. And not just the 990 people, but even like, the 930 people not throwing 930s, but also the fact that there was 2 different layouts.
So it's not truly 94 players.
Yeah, so the average like lower rated players can't shoot the hot scores that maybe people higher rated than them, and kind of skews the numbers.
I was just wondering if there was something on the surface that could tell that, but it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like just a matter of how people played, which is good. I mean, you'd rather have it like that than know going in, oh, well, because of this, and this, I'll probably shoot higher. So that's good.
There was some speculation as to this being the first event with the new layout, that might affect things as well, but I don't know if that's applicable.
So I'm looking at the scores now that Joe Byerly, who's the highest rated, he tied a 900 rated player and got beat by a 907 rated player. So for them to mathematically make this work out where, all the ratings average out to 0, that's the way it's got to happen. But also, it's also flex start, right? So I don't know. There's, I guess, a lot that could be the factor into it.
All right. Do we like the fact that these are on Friday this year?
Not immediately. For me, a Sunday is by far the best, so that's just personal to me. But like I said, I was able to take the Fridays off because they were announced ahead of time. So yeah, it's cool. It's like pick your time, and again, I had time for an early practice round. That's always good.
I thought it was interesting that a Friday event that the first tee time isn't even until 12 or starts at 12. At one point, there was like 103 people signed up, which I thought was wild. Like, don't you people work at the same time? I mean, I took the day off. And
I was going to say, yeah.
Every other flex, it falls on my every other Friday off anyway. So I think out of the entire series of the ones that I can go to, because I'm not doing something else, I had to take one PTO day.
I was going to ask about that. That's cool. Any other comments on the Friday? All right. When's the next one?
Burbine.
When's that?
May 16th.
May 6th.
Okay.
The weekend after Mighty Gaw. And the Friday before the Wilcox warm-up B tier.
Nice. What, do you got a chart or something?
I'm looking at all my upcoming events on Disc Golf. This looks packed. May is not good.
All right. Did you guys hear NIFA finals are at Skylands this year?
That's awesome.
That.
Does that affect anybody as far as maybe playing more NIFA, or just play the regular and now be able to stay local?
Did they put a date out for that?
I didn't look that far into it.
Oh, neither did I, obviously. I was just wondering if anybody knew off the top of their head.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I always like to play NIFA events. I try to get out to that neck of the woods as much as possible, which in the last few years has been twice. But
I'm just going to run a NIFA event and get invited anyway. So.
Oh, yes. I'm doing that on accident. Cool.
Oh, is that a thing?
So Skylands means probably Warwick, or?
I've heard potential Warwick Oasis, because it said something about 2 courses. So that'd be my thought.
Yeah.
Warwick Oasis.
Warwick's great, and I think I'm missing the pro side, so it's always good to be able to play that another time.
Have you played Oasis, Alex?
I haven't. I've been across the street from it several times, but no, I haven't played it.
Okay. All right. So we've got the Clay Missioner of New York Team Challenge here, and I have a few questions, and if anybody else has some questions. Kaitlyn, Clay, how was your first year?
I would say it went well, and it was fairly uneventful. So,
did it take up more or less of your time than anticipated?
I think less.
Really? I mean, it's what, the 5th year, so there were some changes and such, but it's pretty much everybody knows kind of what they're doing, so it makes sense that there would be less questions and such.
I think the most time I spent was in the beginning making the schedule, and that was the majority of my time spent.
Did you receive any negative feedback in the entire year?
I didn't receive receive a lot of feedback at all. So I would say no, not really.
Well, that's good then.
No news is good news.
Again, I think people are scared of me, so that's probably why.
That works.
Yeah.
Fear is a great motivator, or I guess in this case, demotivator. We talked about it briefly last week. Do you think that the reserve system was a success?
I thought it went well, and it did what I intended it do, which was to not have a team have so many people coming through it. But I can't really comment on the captain's thoughts, so it'd be interesting to hear, some of those, because, I have my own opinions, but it's whether or not they like it or not that it will stay or go. So,
well, Evan, you talked about it last week, which I thought it was a positive because you were saying the year before, your first year, if somebody played in the morning and you had to replace them in the afternoon, that counted as a move and you ran out of moves. With the reserve system, if that person plays in the morning and they're not going to play doubles, they just come back the next week. They're already, you don't have to use up a move or whatever.
Right. They're already rostered. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that way, it sounded like a positive. What were your thoughts on it, Randy?
I generally really liked it. It was nice having your reserve players pretty much be a full member of the team. There wasn't like awkwardness of doing roster moves and potentially like never moving someone back onto the team. I think the only drawback was because you were limited to a certain number of spots, it was not favorable to pick up a completely random person just to provide an opponent for the other team. Like you needed to kind of weigh your options. It's like if you're just picking up some random person that's maybe not super high rated, like is that better than taking a half penalty point? So I know when we were looking for players, we were being really selective. So yeah, I mean, that could have created more instances of people bringing, less than a full roster.
Now, speaking for those lower rated players,
yeah,
we could be put up against their best player as a sacrificial lamb. I'm just saying,
everyone on the team has their role. It's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know other teams just never even used all of their reserve spots. So there are players out there to, I think, take those spots, but I think we all kind of kept them, we reserved, a certain level of entry to using those reserve spots.
Did you have any issue with the number? Should that be changed?
I don't know. It worked out perfect for us. We had 3 really dedicated reserve players that played a lot of matches. And then we kind of burnt our last 2 just to fill out our team for the Wilcox match. So worked out for us.
Evan, as far as the number of reserve spots, did you guys have any issues with that?
No, I think the number felt good. And I was a assistant captain or alternate or whatever the official title is. So I think with us, it was more of, we already had a big pool of people from the first year. So we filled those spots pretty quickly in terms of somebody played a match, they're in. So it was much more like who's available, who can play, who's willing to sit, people who were willing to sit. When we went and played Saratoga, Dennis Daly sat for match play. On paper, that may not have been the smartest strategic move. He's a higher rated player for us. But I think it was run more in terms of we're friends playing disc golf, and opposed to saying, here's our starting roster and here's our reserve, our true bench. When we need them, we'll bring them in. For us, it was, I think, more kind of one big team, and the number felt good to me.
Jason, do you have any thoughts on that? The number of reserve players?
I wasn't really involved too much in team rosters and stuff, but it seemed like it worked well. It seems like kind of a trade-off for having a larger pool of people. You kind of narrow that down to the more dedicated people to play on the team, which makes it a little bit more competitive. It's nice.
Nice. Jaimen, any thoughts?
I do not pay enough attention to the rules of New York Team Challenge to have an idea.
That's why I asked you guys last. I just figured, I didn't want to not include you. And Corey, you had some comments last week. Do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I don't know. As not a captain and just someone that shows up to play, and I don't get too much more involved in that. My only thing was that it seemed like that there was enough matches that teams were short a player and then penalty points had to be assessed and blah, 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 blah. If I was just playing devil's advocate, I'm curious if the reserve system helped or hurt those situations as opposed to what was previously in place. But I don't know what I said before we went into the season, but I'm still on the side of preferring to have an actual team, not just a team that also has an infinite pool of people they could pull from at any given point.
Well, I think if it's the day before and you find out somebody's bailing, it's harder to replace. So I think those situations have to be taken on a case-by-case basis. But on the flip side of that, Corey, if I was playing devil's advocate to you, I would say, well, what if you have to sit because they didn't have a player and they knew that that player wasn't going to show up? I'm just saying, like, more people get to play.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So, but it sounds to me like it's a good system.
I think for being kind of like on a trial basis, I think it worked well. So
yeah, maybe the number doesn't sound like it from the small sample size, but potentially the number could be increased or decreased depending on what other captains and such think. So, Kaitlyn, do you expect to be commissioner next season?
Yes.
All right. Are there any changes you'd like to make or are planning to make for next season?
No, I don't think any major changes. I think it will all depend on the number of teams we have. I think one change that could occur is that if we happen to get 10 teams, we could possibly like split in pools of teams, but it's hard to know what's going to happen until we know what teams are staying, what are being added, and so on.
If you had to predict, do you think any teams are going to go away? And you don't have to name teams or anything like that. I understand the Wrenches probably want to disband at this point, but, you know.
Nah.
I've heard rumblings of possibly 2 teams maybe not being around, but I don't know. You know, I have no idea.
What do those teams rhyme with, Kate?
I don't know. You've heard the same rumors I have, so.
I actually only heard about one team, but then I also heard about a person trying to save that team that is not currently, I don't think, playing New York Team Challenge. So,
well, I'll just put it out there because what's the point? You know, one, I've heard that possibly the Beast of Burbine, because I've heard they're kind of hanging on by a thread anyway, and I haven't heard this from Julia or Jackie themselves, but that they kind of wanted to step down from running the team anyway, and I don't know who would step up.
I think on their podcast they announced that they have 2 replacements for them. So
okay.
I didn't actually think about Burbine disbanding. I hadn't heard that.
Nothing against you, Kaitlyn, for not listening to that other podcast, so it's all good.
Well, okay, maybe I have 3 comments. Second is I know Bohansky's trying to start the K team, which it sounds like he's trying to pull a lot of people from CPS. So that's number 2. And then my third comment was that it felt like, Alex, I don't know if you have any comments, but it felt like Chatham Hills was having an early implosion during the early seats. I don't know if that will carry into the off. And all of these comments have no actual facts based.
Makes them even better.
Juicy.
I also heard that J Park was moving to Colonial Acres, so.
Yeah, wild.
Yes.
Yeah, no, we had one issue where one of our players had an issue with how the team was being run, but he's not on the team anymore, and things are pretty reasonable otherwise. So the only thing is, and the question that's been bouncing around in my head is, how many players could I steal if I made an OKDGC team?
Okay, there you go. There's another rumor.
And that's predicated on us completing OKDGC, which is a really big ask.
For the 26-27 season.
That's the question. Yeah.
You could have your temporary course be Colonial Lake.
Yeah, right?
No, you play 9 holes at Colonial and then you drive and you play 9 more at OK.
Yeah. You could make your home course the course not currently being occupied by the Wrenches.
There you go. There you go. Like J South or J North, whichever one they're not playing.
Yeah, 2 J Park teams. That's interesting.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
Right? There's 2 Borderland teams you said earlier, right?
No,
yeah, that could happen.
New England style.
We've made a lot of progress on OK just this year. I've been going out weekly and getting some stuff done. We've got 10's done, 11's done, 12 is mostly done, 13, 14, 15 need some work, 16's done, 18's done, well, mostly done.
Sounds like it's done enough for a team.
Yeah, so there's a good chunk that's being done there, and if you want to come and help out, we're doing it about 4:30 on Tuesdays. Any day you can make it. We run from about 4:30 to 6, depending on how much we want to get done that day. But we've made a good chunk of work into that, so knock on wood, we'd love to get to the point where we can put in 18 T-pads by the end of the year, but that's how that goes. We'll see how well I can keep the momentum going.
So you're having work day / tryouts.
Yeah, basically. You want to come out? We'll put you on. I mean, we got to fill up a squad first. That's the first thing. So if you want to play, we'll put you on the list, maybe. No, but this is all very, very. I don't think I'm actually serious about putting in a team.
Early stages at best.
Yeah.
So really, the only actual thing I think is happening is that Bohanski is going to put in for a CTK team. I don't know about anything else.
All right, so let's imagine there's 10 teams next year. You said something about potentially 2 divisions.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. Relegation?
No.
Okay. All right.
It won't be like an upper and lower. I think it will probably just be location based.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, north, south, east, west, something like that.
And then we'll do like a regular season match and then do some crossover matches for finals so that, you still play people from the other pool. And then, of course, you'll see people at finals.
All-Star weekend, skills competition.
I like it. Who does the J Park skills competition? We got to get that running.
Danny Parton.
Yeah, there you go.
So one of the other changes this year was, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you went from 7 to 6 matches, right?
Yes, and that was because of the odd number of teams.
But do you like that total?
I personally liked it. I can't say for anyone else. I have a feeling the people who play New England are happy with the decrease in match, and the people who don't play New England probably would prefer one more.
So, Evan, what did you think? Did you like 6 or did you prefer 7?
7, exactly for the reasons Kaitlyn said. Yeah, I don't play New England. I totally understand other people who, that influences their opinions and preferences. But for me, I would vote for one more match, of course.
But the reason we went to 6 was purely scheduling reasons. It had nothing to do with...
Yeah, no, I get it. With the number of teams, I thought the schedule, worked out well and had a great time all year. So good job.
All right, so I asked the hard-hitting questions. I got to ask this. I saw you posted the money thing earlier to be transparent. Why did faux finals get $16 more than finals for drinks?
Now we're asking the questions. I was going to bring this up before, but...
Well, did you also see that we paid $300 more in greens fees?
Yeah, well, I got to focus on what I got to focus on. I can't,
Yes, I knew there would be some kind of comment on that.
There was more people at faux finals, right?
There were more people at faux finals.
They needed more drinks.
Yeah, they needed that $6.
As someone who was there, it was discussed and very, very much appreciated that funds were allocated for the faux finals. It did seem like it was spent entirely on booze, which is understandable. I know a lot of people really enjoy that aspect of Team Challenge. As someone who doesn't drink, it would have been cool if there was like a little more inclusivity for non-drinkers, but overall, the fact that there was money available for that was greatly appreciated.
There's a whole pond for people like you.
I should have put a stipulation while transferring the funds that they had to provide some kind of non-alcoholic beverage.
Polar seltzer?
There was plenty of bottled water. It's not like I was dying. But yeah, a little fancy seltzer would have been cool. Yeah. That's fine.
And it looks like you guys are rolling over to next year $80-something more than you had last year. Yeah. So it's not like you guys are spending frivolously.
No, I tried to get people to spend more, but there was no discussion on it. So maybe next year. I think we'll discuss, because I don't think that there was realization of how much money there would be in the fund. I don't think I personally realized that, we had $1,300 until I started putting things together later in the season. So I think maybe earlier in the season discussing what we would do, especially if we do end up with 10 teams, we're then hitting, even more league funds. So maybe putting more into the payout. So we'll have to discuss it because I don't think we should, roll over as much as $500 every year. It's a lot. Keeping my personal PayPal for
for 12 months. Yeah, no. That's fair. I mean, I do like that third place gets their money back. That's what they should. Second place, I could see a little leeway there. And first place, it's mind kill, so they got more than they needed, so that's fine. But anybody else have any other questions?
I had a couple proposed rule things, if we want to talk about those.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. One would just be like a little addendum. It kind of stemmed from our J Park match where people were sitting and stuff. I think right now the rule is that if someone sits for the second match, they have to stay there the whole time, and not every course has somewhere to be inside. I get people can like sit in their car if it's like bad weather, or you could play the round, whatever. But I was thinking, if the player is present for the tee off of the second round, I don't see why they really can't go home. And I understand they could pre-plan that and they actually have somewhere to go and they were never planning on sitting the round or like playing the match or whatever. But it does seem a little lame, like watching Austin just sit in the pavilion for that whole round, like freezing. I don't know if anybody had any thoughts on that.
Makes sense.
I feel like I think I said this before too, and it kind of goes hand in hand with like the whole reserve system possibly being tied into it too. But I feel like the team should just be penalized if they don't bring enough people, and if the team wants to be a douchebag by intentionally not bringing somebody because the penalty points is worth less than the points they would lose if they had played that player, then I don't know. There should be some type of league sanctions. But I understand why the rule is there to prevent like bad actors, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes this doesn't feel right. Like Randy said, it doesn't feel right.
I think when the charter was written, and Jason, you and Jess went through it, but I feel like that rule makes sense for New England Team Challenge because typically, you're 4 hours away at a match or whatever. But I think it makes sense for all of us where we're so close to home where it's just like, okay, you can stay through matchups, see people tee off, and you're like, all right, fine, I can go home. There's no sense in that person sticking around, really.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even know that was a rule that they had to stay there. I remember that they had to be like present, which makes sense. And I think when it was getting developed, like Mark Ox had brought up like these weird scenarios with like they should have to at least play one round because, let's say both teams show up and they're short one. Normally that would be fine, but then I could say like, oh, we're going to bench Genevieve both rounds. She's on our team now. And then kind of just like angle shooting.
Yeah.
But.
And I think that part of it does make sense. I think that having to play one round makes sense. But it kind of stinks then for the people who, come for the morning and have to, quote, be present for the morning round,
So how is the rule written? Curious.
Yeah, the verbiage is weird. It does imply that the person has to physically be there. Let's see if I can scroll.
It's like, if you're there for the whole one tee off, and then you want to go to Stewart's, like, is that the same as going home? There's a little bit too much gray area for like what present means. Like if you could go home for the whole match and then show up right at the end, were you present the whole time? Like, I think it'd be better to just say like, as long as you're there for the tee off of the round, you were officially there.
Like, yeah, if you're there for matchups, I feel like then you were there and it was, then you're playing against nobody. So they forfeited.
Exactly.
You have to throw a ceremonial drive.
Wait your 30 seconds. And yeah, I have another suggestion too, but I'll let Kate finish what she's doing.
I wonder if it's the same as mine. I have one more.
This is so much pressure trying to find
It's edited, Kate. Don't worry.
Well, while you're doing that, Saratoga Spa random dubs week 1 of the regular season. Jay O'Leary and Bobby Hallam shot a -13. They tied with Joe Caron and Cody Is it Canine, did we determine?
Canine.
Joe Caron and Cody Canine also shot a -13, so they were tied.
Which, by the way, Pat, I'll add that I like the last episode when you just randomly insert those tidbits in there. That's fun. Kind of breaks up some of the stuff, yeah.
Yeah. If you're still looking, Warwick Tuesday dubs, Sean Velastro and Elijah Morgan shot a -9 to win that.
Okay. It's very vague. It just says players must be present at the match to count towards a team's roster.
So hypothetically, if Tim Martino is 5 minutes away in his giant red truck, but we know he's coming. Yeah, it doesn't seem right to have to, like you said, to sit in your car. I didn't know that was really a thing either, but I've never really sat out, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know where that interpretation came from, but I always kind of just assumed like if they're there, then, they can go home once matchups are done.
Yeah, maybe we just need some clarity added in, not really like a change. But I know like if you know the night before someone's not coming, like you'll just tell one player on your team not to show up and then like nobody takes penalty points in that case, which obviously you could extract penalty points by just making that person show up for one round. Like there is some strategy to that, but this league is supposed to be for fun. So I figure the opportunity for people to go home after the first round makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
All right, Randy, what's number 2?
Okay, number 2, this was something that there is no rule about. It happened at the Burbine match where people played the wrong opponents.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no rule. There's no guidance on what to do. So I figure we need something. I think the penalization could be argued about. I'm going with almost none, but someone should be responsible. So I figured the home team should be responsible for knowing who's playing who.
Mm-hmm.
So if people go out and play the wrong people, those points should be negated, and then there should be a half-point penalty for the home team.
Or hear me out. There's this phrase in drag racing. It's called a chase is a race. You both knew. You both should have known. Chase is a race, baby.
What does that mean, Corey?
It means you know what? You played the match, so let it stand.
Yeah.
Am I getting that right?
Basically.
I think the problem there is if it was like done intentionally and like somebody nefariously tried to go against what the actual matchups were.
Yeah.
I agree with Randy. It should be somehow it's the home team's responsibility is so the two players from the home team to know who they're playing.
But you could still like angle shoot that, because if I'm a home team and I know that like we're going to get crushed on both our matches, if I can convince the players to switch, then we're only going to take half a point.
Yeah, I mean, it could be 1 point, but if it is a true accident, it feels a little bad having it be a really severe penalty. But yeah, I mean, I can picture some very confident sounding person, showing up to the hole and be like, no, like you're playing so-and-so. And, if we implement this rule and the home teams are, every time sending out a picture of the board to the home team's, Facebook group, everyone should be able to pull it up. I think you would just add a little bit more accountability.
Yeah, makes sense.
I would vote that out. If that was to come across my table, I would throw it out. I'd throw it right off the table, backhand style.
Good thing you're not captain.
If there's no rule, at one match you could let it stand, and at another match you could delete the points because it's up to the captains at that point, and that like affects the whole league.
With the other rule, trying to design a rule around something that is like goes against the spirit of the game, especially and for the same reason I think it was brought up before, was that like, okay, in New England, yeah, you kind of need to have those kinds of protections in there because certain people will try to game the system over a game of disc golf. But in New York Team Challenge, I feel like it's not really needed, and the only people it's really going to punish are the people that did it innocently and like read the board wrong and whatever. So it's like, who are you really trying to punish with this?
It could also be a situation where if it happens a second time, that's where the penalty kicks in.
Yeah.
Because you're only playing 6 times a year. If it happens more than once, then that's on the person.
Like if I bring the card together, I'm like, all right, guys, what happened? If like the guys are like, no, yeah, this guy was like really trying to tell us that this is who it was, and it felt off-putting, then I think that would be addressed. But if it's like, oh yeah, we all looked at the board and we all just kind of goofed up, I don't know, it just seems like a weird.
Yeah, but I mean that could result in 2 points going to a team and versus the other team. Like, it's kind of a lot.
So you tell those 4 people you're a bunch of fucking idiots. You've been reading for 20 to 50 years of your life. You're still not good at it. Pay more attention next time. Or if you really want to do it, you should like punish the captain somehow for not being. I don't know how you would punish individual captains, but maybe take away their lunch the next round. But like, it should be the captain's responsibility to know, or it should be the captain's responsibility for their players to know who they're playing before their match goes.
That's
out.
What I said. That's literally what I said.
Did anybody say what happened at Burbine when that occurred?
They called me and asked, what should we do? And I said, you guys figure it out. And so I don't actually know what ended up happening.
I think that they talked about it on that podcast, but I don't remember what they said about it.
Yeah, they definitely did. I think they deleted them. I think that's what happened.
To Randy's point, though, that also did happen when Jess was commissioner too, and so it is an issue. And I think you're right that it has like the onus has to be on somebody to check it, and that seems like it should fall on the home team players. So yeah, if that's their responsibility and they don't do it, then I guess it makes sense for a penalty.
I mean, does anybody as captains do anything other than hold up the board and say, here's the matchups? Is anybody like writing paper cards or anything like that?
I just send a picture out to everybody.
Yeah, we generally send a picture.
Yeah, we get a picture too in our chat.
Well, that's another question. What if somebody does cards and then writes the wrong name on the card?
Then the captain should
Touche.
be penalized.
Still the home team.
We're getting
right?
back to the same. It's the home team is responsible. So
Here's the thing, Randy. What should really happen is the home team captain should be punished.
That's a great idea, Alex. Yeah.
Well, no, see, I didn't say the home team. I said the captains, the offending captain. But I guess if they're the entire card goofed, then that would. It just seems that maybe a little bit odd to single out the home team's captain. But I still think that this scenario would possibly be better with less governance than an over amount of governance.
So I think if it happens again, just call Corey. Don't call Kaitlyn, guys. Call Corey for an answer. And also only punish the head captains, not the co-captains. That's what I think.
The home team co-captain.
Yeah, but not like the assistant captain, just the head captain.
Yeah.
Jason, you had a question as well, right?
Yeah. Okay. So Randy's done all.
Unless there was anything else. No. I think what we got from that was that the captain should be punished.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah. Like I said, it's happened. I think it was the same teams, honestly, when Jess was commissioner too. So anyway, yeah. My suggestion, it might be a hot take, is I cannot stand the time limit at finals. And I think with New York, the format that you did this year worked out really well with the 9-hole doubles. Seemed like there was enough time in the day. And because we don't have 25 people on a team, we have like enough to fill a course. There's no ghost cards. I feel like the time limit thing should just be removed, but maybe that's just me.
I don't know if we could fully get rid of it, but you're right. With the 9-hole option we did for the third round, we could easily add 15 to 30 minutes to the first 2 rounds, I would guess.
Yeah, I think my card first round was probably one of the slowest cards out there. I think with another 15 minutes, we probably would have finished, but we also started 15 to 20 minutes late. So it's like, if we could just stick to the schedule, we probably would have finished on time.
Jason, when you say get rid of the time limits, you just mean round 1 and 2 unrestricted, but round 3 would still just be 9 holes.
Yeah. So after round 1, whenever the last card is finished, add 45 minutes, and that's when the round 2 matchups are due. When round 2 finishes, you get 45 minutes, and that's when round 3 starts. And I think even if you had slow cards, there'd still be enough daylight because you're only doing 9 holes the third round.
What about playoffs, though? We were doing, playoffs till the time cap for doubles. That could potentially run on for a long time.
It could, but I don't think it would go to where you're going to lose daylight or it's going to be really late. Because like even if you go, I guess if you went like 9 holes or something, it'd be different. But maybe like an exception for, you could change the double so that it's just 1 point for each team too.
Just a push.
Like, I think that's how New England is, right?
It's not, but I thought it was a year ago.
Oh, right.
Someone might have just lied to me because I definitely had a match push with time left.
Right. So, yeah. And then you have a weird scenario if the whole team is tied, then you have to resolve that, which I guess you could come up with a different format for that. But anyway, I just can't stand the time thing. It feels like it makes it, depending on what hole you start on, you could either have an advantage or a disadvantage if you're right-handed or left-handed or woods golfer or field golfer. And I just like that if everybody plays all 18 holes in theory and doubles, it just makes it more true. And it's like you play the full disc golf every single match and then you get to finals. I feel like it should be like, it's a finals. It should be a full match, but I can't stand it in New England. So I'd love to see it at least gone in New York personally. Maybe that's just me.
I don't disagree with like the sentiment. I just think there needs to be some sort of timeline to keep things moving along.
Yeah, I think it's only hard because of like the lackadaisicalness of our captain in New York.
How dare you?
Okay, listen. I like set the time to start the day and we already missed it. Like to start round 1, we couldn't even keep the start time to start the day. So like that's how bad it is. And then I think like starting round 3, we were like 30 minutes late. So like imagine not having the start time, pushing that like 30 minutes later, then you push lunch 30 minutes later, then you might, and you're talking about adding possibly an hour and a half to the day, which then at that point, the sun is down.
Just to clarify, Kaitlyn, when you say you guys started 15 to 20 minutes late, did you lose that on the back end? Or did you just finish 15 to 20 minutes later as far as your stop time?
I pushed the stop time back for round 2, but not round 1.
Okay, and that's round 1 was the one where Wilcox had none of their doubles finished, right?
Yes, I think that's what they said.
So the one that lost that 20 minutes or so, it did cost. So, all right.
And maybe it's because we played at Christ the King, but I was looking at my UDisc cards that we had that day. Round 1, we played the full round and it was 2 hours and 48 minutes. Round 2, we also played a full round of doubles and that took 2 hours and 35 minutes. It's possible that like the whole no time limit thing works better at courses like Stonykillers.
Yeah.
And not quite Christ the King. It depends on who makes it to finals, but
that's a really good point because like I think 3 hours comes out to about 10 minutes a hole if you want to finish, which is that's pretty average, but CTK is a little bit longer of a course. I think at Mindkill we have to go with like 13 plus minutes a hole when we do tee times and stuff because you get some pretty big backups otherwise, but it just on average takes 13 or 14 minutes to finish a hole. So if finals were at Stonykillers, 10 minutes is probably plenty. But yeah, CTK, maybe if we could get like another 20 or 30 minutes added on.
I think with CTK, the only problem was like the walk out to the holes and back took a really long time too.
Yeah.
Almost 10 minutes sometimes to like get all the way out to your hole if you're like back in the woods. So. And
I did really, this is kind of off change subject, but I really did like having finals at CTK. I thought that the space we had inside was like perfect for where they did the matchups. I thought the lunch was fantastic. So if the CTK team does come to fruition, I think I'll be like saddened that that's not the finals location anymore. Because it seemed like it was perfect for like lodging for Wilcox and everything else too. But.
It could still be finals if they don't make finals.
Or if they do make finals, the other 4 teams who are in finals this year also have great courses.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, J Park probably won't make it next year. So,
well, they're moving their location anyway, so J Park will be free.
J North
it'll be just J North. Yeah,
I'll buy a couple generators. We won't even.
Speaking of time problems,
Jaimen, if the CTK team comes to fruition, do you think that there'll be greens fees for matches?
I believe that there would be, but I think that they're covered by the team. I think that's the way that that's being handled.
Man, if only more New England Team Challenge teams would do that.
I think they're supposed to, aren't they?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
They are supposed to. It's only neutrals that you're supposed to pay.
Oh,
that must be new,
finals.
because when we went to Maple a few years ago, we had to pay for a match that we had to play there.
Oh.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Any other questions for Kaitlyn?
How do we feel about teams that have courses at places where you're also forced to pay to park?
Where's that?
It's the same thing.
Borderland? Don't it do this?
It's not in New York.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I don't think Kate has control over that.
Yeah, you can ask that at the New England Team Challenge.
I just thought we were on the vein of being forced to pay, having to pay at places you're forced to play at. I just thought it was good.
If I play a tournament at Heckscher, I got to pay $10 to park. You know, same thing.
How much you got to pay if you're flying in?
Probably more.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Was there parking at Thacher?
No.
You have to pay at Thacher, yeah.
Not yet.
But it starts after Labor Day.
Yeah, I was
Memorial
gonna say,
Day?
I didn't
Memorial
pay.
Day. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I guess the same at Heckscher. So it would be free to park or fly in, Corey, right now.
Okay, all right. It's a deal.
Congratulations, Damian Seidman and Chris Schofield. Shot a -6 at Kisco Tuesday, Dubs.
Nice.
Well, I was going to ask Corey about J-Dubs Points Championship Week 4.
Yep, week 4. Hang on one second. J-Dubs, leaderboard.
You played there, Jason, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
I did.
Was huge.
Yeah. Had to put an end in Michelli's winning streak.
Yeah, Bro was pissed.
Who'd you play with?
Played with a guy named Dustin. Don't think I've played with him before. Worked out well. We were on a card with Justin and AT. Yeah, I think I was on a card with Justin. I don't know. I played with him at the Greenville League, so I might be mixing it up. But yeah, it was good time, good weather. Actually, the weather was kind of iffy. Now I think it back. It was a while ago, but yeah, it was pretty cold and windy and made for some tough golf. But we still managed to get enough birdies to take it down, beat Justin by 1.
Ooh, by 1. Nice.
Or second place by 1. Justin may have been in third or something. I don't know.
Oh, I got you. Either way, 4 weeks in, and you gave him his first loss, so that's something. Speaking of Friday League, how'd that go?
It was pretty light attendance. I think the flex and other stuff going on affected it. We had 5 people show up. I wasn't planning on playing, but because Justin and Michele showed up and there's nobody else in the pro divisions, I traded with Jess and got to watch him tie the course record, which was nice to watch. It was pretty great conditions. He got a lot of birdies and ended up winning $40. So good for him.
How'd you shoot?
Not great. Yeah, there's some holes there. I don't think I've ever bogeyed, and I like double bogeyed them. And yeah, it just wasn't like really focused playing. But I still had a good time. It was a fun card. Mike Warner, Megan Mercer, and Zach McDonald came out. So it was great to see all them.
Nice. Like you said, I'm sure it'll, now that the flex is done. And how many weeks is it this year?
I think she's doing 6 weeks or 7. I'm not sure. She's going to be playing the Oakholm event. So this is Good Friday coming up. So I think I will be there with the girls just kind of running it so she can go out to Mass and go stay over there for the event this weekend.
Does the league end before the next flex? Do you know?
I don't think so. I think it goes all the way up to Minekill.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so still, I'll be trying to make it. I didn't realize it's actually farther for me than J Park by like 5 minutes.
It's more west then, right? You get it. Which exit do you get off of? 20 or 21?
Yeah. 20 or 21. It's been a while since I've been out there. It's after Kingston, but I don't know if it's the next one after Kingston or 2 after Kingston.
It's like the same distance either way.
Yeah. I get off the exit and there's a Stewart's right across the way. I don't know if that helps you.
That sounds like Stargady's exit 20.
There you go.
Although, I mean, there's Stewart's pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's true.
The Catskill exit too.
Is it?
Yeah.
So that could be either one.
And that's
20,
assuming you
21.
mean actually a Stewart's and not just a gas station, because then you might also be talking about the Coxsackie exit.
No, I don't call other things that aren't Stewart's. They're not Band-Aids.
That's what I meant.
I'm pretty sure it's a pretty newer Stewart's too, if I'm remembering correctly. It's like a pretty long ramp, and then it's like up to the right.
That sounds like Catskill.
That sounds like Catskill now. Did you make a left or right when you get
left?
Then that's definitely Catskill.
Yeah, that's the one. All right. Did you have anything else, Jason? Anything else you wanted to mention?
No, I think I'm all set.
You got to get going?
Yeah, it's getting pretty late for me.
Yeah. Kaitlyn, how's your year been? I didn't even ask you about that.
It hasn't really gotten started yet. I would say the event Jason just mentioned, the Oakham tournament this week, that's kind of like the kickoff. I mean, we had FDR, but this is kind of like the New England women's kickoff event, which is like a full women's tournament, 72 people. The FPO field is huge. It's almost 20 FPO ladies. So I always kind of consider that like the kickoff to the year. The weather last year was really, really nice. This weekend, it's also looking high 60s. So really looking forward to that.
Nice. All right. I assume you got to get going as well. All right. Thanks, Jason, and thanks, Kaitlyn.
All right, thanks, guys.
I mean, any of you guys need to jump off, you're more than welcome to. I just assume that you guys are good for a round of trivia.
We good.
Tonight I don't want to do trivia, Pat.
All right. Before you go, Randy, Nick Warren and Jackson Quinn shot a -9 at Wilcox Tuesday Dubs. Did you know that?
Oh, no, congrats.
Does that change your mind?
Now I'm definitely doing trivia. Thanks,
all
Nick
right.
Warren.
See? Thank you,
Nice.
Nick and Jackson.
Good job, guys.
All right. So, how do we determine who won? Corey, you won the New York Team Challenge Picks League. Why don't you just make the matchups for this week? 2v3.
We're going to split Alex and Randy and myself and Jaimen.
Ooh.
Okay.
Whoa.
I don't know how to deal with this.
And let's see. I think we'll do... Jaimen, are you older than me or younger than me? I feel like I've asked you this every single time, but when were you born?
90.
Ooh, yeah, you're old. What about you, Randy?
We're the same age, Corey.
Yeah, what month?
May.
Ooh, you're old too. All right. So we got
What
Wait, do I really want to go 3v2 with just Alex on my side? Ew, old guys versus young guys.
I dare you.
Yeah, screw it. Yeah, okay. Jaimen, Randy, and Evan versus me and Alex. Sorry, Alex.
That young guy hubris.
Nah, we got this.
They're going to give us video game questions, but it's all going to be about like Ataris and Commodore 64s.
You're not correct, but you're not correct. You'll...
Yeah, nailed it.
So, because you're a twosome, you guys do get to go first. Corey and Alex. I could just say I have 3 categories. I really only have 2, but you still get to choose. You want category 1 or category 2.
Pat, don't break the illusion for the listeners.
Do you want category 1, category 2, or category 3? Category 2 and 3 are the same category. I'm just saying.
1?
Yeah, I'm good with 1.
Question 1, category 1 for Corey and Alex. What explosive device, often hidden underground, is designed to detonate when triggered by pressure or a tripwire, commonly used in conflict zones? What explosive device, often hidden underground, is designed to detonate when triggered by pressure or a tripwire, commonly used in conflict zones?
Mine?
Yeah, I think for question 1, mine sounds good.
Yeah, I say we go with mine.
Can you be more specific?
Landmine?
You guys agree?
Yeah.
Since you said it in unison, you probably do, but I just like to verify. Is the landmine a disc?
That sounds like a Doomsday Disc.
I like it. Yeah, yes it is.
Yes.
Doomsday Discs, June 27th, 2022.
Nice.
Randy, Evan, Jaimen, category 1, category 2, or imaginary category 3.
Should we do it for Dale?
Let's do it for Dale.
We're going with 3.
All right. Category 3, question 1. From Public Enemy's 1988 album, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, Flavor Flav asked us not to believe what? From Public Enemy's 1988 album, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, Flavor Flav asked us not to believe what?
I'm not sure, but I can tell you the first thing that came into my head if you want to hear it.
Is it a disc?
I don't know if it's a disc. I was going to say The Hype.
Ooh.
And just because that seems like a Flavor Flav type of line. But I mean, it could be lots of things.
Yeah, I like that. The only other thing I was thinking is The Police, but I don't know. I like The Hype more.
That's never a bad guess.
Right.
Not to give away answers, it could be the man or,
My first thought was pigs, and that is a disc.
Okay.
But no, hype is a way better answer, I think.
It's just a gut feeling. I can't say that I know it for sure.
I feel like you have the most experience in things that happened before 1990, so I got to go with you on that.
You guys agree?
Yes.
Is the hype a disc?
Nice one, Evan.
Thank you.
Is the hype a disc? Is that a hooligan disc? Where's Mike?
That's a great guess, knowing their other stuff. And if I haven't heard of it before, it might be a new one by them. It seems like the kind of disc you build a category around.
Yeah. Is the hype real?
Don't believe it, but
shit.
What did Flavor Flav just tell us? We didn't learn the lesson. I think yes, but I don't know. You could persuade me either way.
You're about to tee off and you're like, I don't believe in you.
It's overhyped or underhyped. I don't know.
I'm leaning yes.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
You guys agree?
Yep.
Pie Pan Discs, February 17th, 2025.
Pretty new.
Yeah.
All right. Corey and Alex, category 1 or category 3?
I am more confident in military things than musical things.
Same. I'll take 1.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Question 2, category 1. After throwing a long last-second touchdown in 1975, Roger Staubach said, I closed my eyes and said what? After throwing a long last-second touchdown in 1975, Roger Staubach said, I closed my eyes and said what?
Is that where the Hail Mary term comes from?
Yeah, I just to clarify, Pat, I closed my eyes, comma, and said blank, right?
Yes.
That's the full quote.
I closed my eyes and said blank.
Yeah, I think after getting that further clarification, I think Hail Mary fits him better.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that comes to mind, unless it's like a specific thing. So, yeah, I think that makes sense.
I mean, it's either that or he said, boom! Yeah, I'll say Hail Mary.
Let's do it.
Is the Hail Mary a disc?
I mean, if it's not, somebody's got to jump on that, right? Like you're down by 1 on the 18th hole, you got to have a disc for that.
I mean, yes, but also like the Our Father won't be a disc. I understand that Hail Mary has grown to be more than just a religious phrase, but I could also see it being a disc. I don't like it though. I'm kind of leaning partial. Like I'm 49-51. So if you are more for it, then I would definitely align with you.
I feel like it's such a evocative term that I think it's got to be a disc.
Okay, so you're more strong than 49-51.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll say it is a disc.
You guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
DKG Disc Sports, April 4th, 2010.
Nice. Okay, we worked it out.
All right. Randy, Evan, and Jaimen, category 1 or category 3?
I don't have a good feeling for which either category is yet. So
nope, I'm not sure.
I'm okay with 3 or not.
Do one more in 3.
Sounds good.
All right. Question 2, category 3. An early citation for what term for jewelry goes back to a song featuring Lil Wayne? An early citation for what term for jewelry goes back to a song featuring Lil Wayne?
I got another top of the head thought. I'm thinking bling.
Bling is the first thing that came to mind, but I think bling is older.
I thought that too, but
I have reason to. My elementary school band teacher's daughter owned the trademark for the word bling, and it got bought out by somebody. And so this story is coming from 1998.
Whoa. Randy, when I was in grade school, there was a kid who said his uncle worked at Nintendo and that there was a secret way to actually play Mario upside down or some shit. I don't know where you came from with that story.
The story is from an adult, first off, not a child. And I'm giving you a reference.
At the time?
Yeah, I'm telling you a reference of why in 5th grade I knew the word bling existed, and I think Lil Wayne was not making music when I was in 5th grade.
Okay.
At least not.
Well,
it's going to be bling, isn't it?
I don't know. Do you have a good
Ice.
other guess?
Ice is what I was thinking.
Oh,
I think
okay.
Both of those work really well. I wonder 5th grade Randy's ability to understand sarcasm.
Okay.
Either way, he said the word bling.
Yes, that is true. But how old is Lil Wayne, though?
I don't know. I'm going to guess he's 40.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't
it does feel like the word bling might be
albums
older.
Out when we were, not you, Evan.
Thank you, Randy.
You don't have 10ish, 9ish.
Well, if it wasn't out when we were 10ish, it wasn't out when Evan was 10ish.
That's
you don't
fair.
Need to exclude him.
I will just say one last thing. I think bling fits more with the vibe of hype, but I don't know why. I don't have ice is not bad. Oh gosh.
This is
Bling does feel
situation.
older, Randy. You've made a strong case, and you do have firsthand evidence, so we can go with something other than Bling. And if ice is what you like,
I like Randy's rationale.
We've taken way too long on this.
No, this is the exact amount of time we need.
Yeah. You get extra time if you're actually having an entertaining conversation.
It's true. It's all for the content.
Does anyone have anything besides ice though? Because
no, I think have
we heard it one repeated yet?
Yeah, that wouldn't hurt.
An early citation for what term for jewelry goes back to a song featuring Lil Wayne?
Man, I wish he said the year.
You're in the driver's seat on this one, Randy.
Every time we do this, I am wrong. So I still want to go with ice though.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you on it. Mostly because of your story, but I think you're onto something there.
All right, let's go with it.
Corey and Alex, what do you think?
No.
An early citation for what term for jewelry goes back to a song featuring Lil Wayne?
Which one did they actually go with?
Don't tell him.
You should have been paying attention. We just said it like a dozen times.
Dude, you said a lot of things a dozen times.
You're going back and forth.
You'll have to listen on Friday to find out.
So I guess we go with Bling then, right?
Yeah. Bling and ice were the two terms that I wrote down like at the beginning. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
I was with Jaimen until he said something about entertaining conversation, and it was at that point that I stopped being entertained. Like it was at that point.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Let's do it.
Yep. You guys agree?
Mm-hmm.
You're going with Bling? Is the Bling a disc?
Okay, so they did say ice. Okay. Yeah, it definitely is.
Okay, I believe it. I don't believe the hype, but I believe the Bling. I don't believe it.
Damn, okay, I am surprised at that.
All right, but that was a steal. I got you up 5-2.
Yes.
What category? 1 or 3? But real quick, it's from a 1999 song. Randy,
oh my god! So the year was. Oh my god.
Yeah, you were in the right range, I guess.
I didn't think he made music that.
You know what else happened in 1999, Randy?
He wrote it,
What happened, Evan?
I graduated from high school.
Well, I didn't.
I know. It's okay.
I know you're old, Evans, because you referred to elementary school as grade school.
What's the difference?
The difference is only old people say it as grade school.
Oh. Do you want to know how I really know that I'm old? Last week at Prospect Dubs, Adam Nelson said, I can tell the guys in the age-protected divisions because they have the towel hanging from their belt. And you know what? I played dubs with Kenji yesterday, and he had one hanging off the back of his belt, so I guess I'm guilty.
Who else does it? Is Jeff Wachowski.
It's an old school player thing. AT does it too. Anybody who's been playing for like a decade or more tends to do it.
In my defense, I bartended for 10 years, so I always had a towel hang on my belt, but I'm also in the MA40 division, so guilty.
Just to go back, I thought grade school was just anything that wasn't college.
I don't know. Maybe it is.
I could see that, but you think grade school, who's going to call it grade school, but somebody in really low grades. I don't see a senior saying, I'm in grade school right now. You know what I mean?
I thought it went like grade school, middle school, high school.
Elementary school.
No, yeah, I had always heard of elementary, middle, high.
Did any of you guys have sixth grade in your elementary school?
Mm-hmm. No.
Yes and no.
We had like a junior middle thing. Like we had kindergarten through second grade was one school. Then 3, 4, 5 was a different school. Then 6 through 8 was middle school.
Damn, what the hell? Are you going to school
bonkers.
houses, or does this district have just a shit ton of money for buildings?
Well, we had buildings, and then they sold the buildings, and now they don't have the buildings anymore.
All right.
We learned a lot.
Corey and Alex, it's your category, right? 1 or 3?
I feel better about 1 than 3.
Yeah.
Question 3, category 1. The energy of our sun comes from what type of nuclear reaction deep inside the core where temperatures can reach 15 million Kelvin? The energy of our sun comes from what type of nuclear reaction deep inside the core where temperatures can reach 15 million Kelvin?
It'd be fission, right? Nuclear fission.
It's either fission or fusion. And I think it's fusion because that's the one we can't do on Earth yet.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I don't really know. But, from a non-scientifical perspective, I guess, I feel like fusion, I'm putting a couple things together. Fission is like the splitting of things and releasing a bunch of energy.
Yeah, but
But also, you're kind of more of a nerd than I am. I mean, I can be pretty nerdy too, but I mean, I feel like you would probably maybe have a better handle on these things, especially with all your Star Trek knowledge and whatnot.
Yeah, like fusion is definitely the thing that I'm leaning towards more. But if it is fission, like I wouldn't be really surprised. I'm like 75% fusion, 25% fission.
And I'm just going off of what sounds good and a hunch. So I will concede the fusion.
Do we have any idea what that category is?
No.
Me neither.
So yeah, sure, let's go fusion.
Yeah. Can I hear the question one more time, just in case?
The energy of our sun comes from what type of nuclear reaction deep inside the core where temperatures can reach 15 million Kelvin?
Yeah, so the thing that keeps coming to mind is cold fusion. Like, that's the thing we're chasing. If we can make cold fusion happen, we can make a whole lot of energy really easily. And like, we can do hot fusion, which is what happens in the sun at, the really high temperature that he just mentioned. But that's not sustainable because you got to get things really, really hot to do it. And that costs more energy than we've got. I think that's what it is. So I'm pretty confident fusion.
I'm cool with it.
You guys agree?
Yeah.
Is the fusion.
Okay. I would have been really upset if I had all that and then was still just blatantly wrong.
I chose the wrong one for you. Is the fusion a disc? I kind of feel like it has to be.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
You guys agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, no.
Dang it.
Ooh, okay.
I rescind my earlier comment about interesting conversations being allowed to take longer.
It can also be not interesting conversation.
Randy, Evan, and Jaimen, category 1 or category 3?
Do we try and steal the sciencey ones from Alex?
Technically, I've known both of the answers in 3, but
I have.
Are you going to say Hail Mary sciencey?
Yes.
I don't yet know what 1 is.
I don't know what 1 is, but I feel like 3 is still just kind of scary every time.
Category 1, Pat.
Here we go.
Question 4, category 1. What last name was shared by Don Adams on TV and Steve Carell in film when they both played Agent 86? What last name was shared by Don Adams on TV and Steve Carell in film when they both played Agent 86?
What do you think, Randy?
I think this is aimed at you. That show sounds old.
Can you hear the question again?
What last name was shared by Don Adams on TV and Steve Carell in film when they both played Agent 86?
So the TV show and the movie had the same name, and it's Get Smart, and I'm pretty sure the character's name is Maxwell Smart, so I think the answer is Smart.
I knew you knew it. That doesn't fit the category, I don't think, but it sounds great.
I don't disagree with you, but if it's not this, then I'm going to have to do some serious self-reflection.
No, that does sound like the right movie title, so...
I like it.
And he avoided saying the movie title because it has the answer in it.
I can I'm like 88% sure, right? Because Steve Carell was the lead in the movie.
Yeah.
I know that much. I did not see the movie, but...
Right, she played 99, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Agent 99. Pat can let me know after we see if this is correct. I think it's Smart.
All right, let's go with it.
You guys agree?
Yep.
Is the Smart a disc?
I hope not. I don't know. That's weird, right?
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's an adjective. I mean, you could have smarts.
No, that sounds awful. Got a stack of smarts.
S smarts.
There you go.
I don't know.
Let's go no. Why not?
Okay.
You guys agree?
Jaimen, say it.
Yep. Yeah.
TOSY, December 5th, 2022. They have the Smart S3, the Smart S7, the Smart S10, and the Smart S12.
Are those the ones that light up? They have like LED lights in them? TOSY?
I have no idea. I only pronounced each letter because it's all capitalized, but so TOSY or TOSY.
Wait, the name Smart is in all of the discs, or is that the plastic type?
Doesn't Lightning do that?
Yeah. How many discs does Lightning sell?
Okay.
I think of it like the Buzz OS, the Buzz. I might be thinking of it wrong, but like that's what I was thinking when I went.
Yeah, I mean, if it showed up on the PDJ list, that would be the name of the disc.
Yeah, there were 4 of them. All right, that was your regular question, right? So Corey and Alex, you're up 6-3 halfway through. Category 1 or category 3?
They zig. Do we want to zag?
Maybe. I've got an idea for like 3 of the 4 things in one, and maybe the 4th.
I did not know that last answer. I mean, I didn't know the other ones either, actually. Yes, which one do you want to do, Alex?
I don't know. Let's go 3 because it's theoretically easier than 1.
Yep, okay.
All right. Question 3, category 3. Complete this lyric to a 1998 Beastie Boys hit, also known for the Flintstone flop. Tammy D getting biz on the crop. Beastie Boys known to let the beat what? Complete this lyric to a 1998 Beastie Boys hit, also known for the Flintstone flop. Tammy D getting biz on the crop. Beastie Boys known to let the beat What?
Wouldn't it technically be a drop?
You got to commit to it. I'm not going to commit to it, but if you're going to say it, you got to commit to it.
So it'd be drop?
Drop is what I had, yeah.
You guys agree?
Yeah.
Is the drop a disc?
Yes. No, maybe. I think so.
You do?
The
drop?
It could be like a berg where it's not got a lot of glide.
If it was like gumdrop, I could see maybe, but a drop? I don't know. It sounds kind of bad.
It's also not really what you want your disc to do most of the time.
No, or do you want to take a drop? That sounds like an OB stroke.
I could honestly see this going either way.
I say we go now.
All right, let's do it.
You guys agree?
Yep.
Discmania, June 13th, 2024.
What the hell? I ain't never heard of
Nicholas
this.
Santelos disc.
All right, Randy, Evan, and Jaimen, what you got? Category 1 or Category 3?
Kind of want to go back to 3 now.
Yeah, I've still known everything in 3, and I mean, I guess I've known. Well, sure, let's do 3.
Yep.
You guys agree? All right. This one has a curse word in it, so I apologize ahead of time. Question 4, Category 3. According to a 1988 song by NWA, Ice Cube will do what on any motherfucker in a blue uniform? According to a 1988 song by NWA, Ice Cube will do what on any motherfucker in a blue uniform?
He said do what on any mother effer?
Mm-hmm. I guess I could have said that.
Oh no, I'm just trying to get the I don't know, the verb tense or
do
the
what on any.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I'm more of a Wu-Tang fan than I was only 7, so I didn't really get into NWA.
Yeah, I'm just based on the phrasing. I don't know if like snitch fits, but that sounds like pretty benign for them.
Yeah. We hear the question one more time. I like not to be mean.
No, you're fine. According to a 1988 song by NWA, Ice Cube will do what on any motherfucker in a blue uniform? I do put the adult rating on all these, even if we don't swear, which...
it's not the Hudson Valley Feelings podcast.
Got about 15 seconds.
I don't know, smash?
Oh, man. Step?
That's not a bad guess at all for the slang of the time.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. Is Randy there? You there, Randy?
Yeah.
Blank on.
About 8 seconds.
Randy, you get the final say, so blurt out whatever you think it is.
No, I don't want to. I already
It's okay. We don't expect to get this one right. I don't think we know it. So just pick something.
Okay, my original was snitch, because like snitch on is like a normal use of it.
Yeah, go for it.
Wait. You wouldn't be afraid to. Okay, yeah, I guess. But snitching on a cop seems weird to me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Smash on a cop doesn't even sound like anything to me.
We have about 7 seconds, guys.
If you keep talking, you can't interrupt us.
Is that how? Is this like pausing a video game? Bring up the menu and nothing's actually happening.
Be like flip on a. Nope, that doesn't sound like anything.
Yeah, step just seems a little bit violent.
Step on a.
But I don't know. Whatever you guys think, I'm fine with.
It was like 2. It was like step 2. I'd like be.
Yeah.
Evan, say something.
Smash.
All right.
It's a disc golf term. I like it. Smash.
You guys going with smash? What do you got, Corey and Alex? According to a 1988 song by NWA, Ice Cube will do what on any MFer in a blue uniform? I figure 3 times is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Do what?
I don't know.
There's
nothing that's coming to mind that fits the.
I really
word
like
grammatically. Step 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
I was thinking clap or something as another answer, but until you said 2, not on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like step.
Yeah, it is the best grammatical fit that I've heard so far, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah, and I ain't coming up with anything else. So
let's do it.
You going with step?
Yeah.
Step.
Just to clarify, Corey, it was on, not 2.
Oh, what? I thought. Oh, damn! I thought.
No, they said 2. I said on.
Oh.
But either way, we were looking for swarm.
Oh,
he will swarm on any MFer in a blue uniform, and that is Discraft, April 22nd, 2024. But that was first steal. You didn't get it, but it is your question. Category 1 or Category 3?
That was 3, right?
Yeah,
that was 3.
Hey, I don't like that category. Let's stick with 1.
Sounds good to me.
All right, question 5, Category 1. What 2001 movie led one critic to write, Mariah Carey has the voice of a dove, but the acting range of a parakeet? What 2001 movie led one critic to write, Mariah Carey has the voice of a dove, but the acting range of a parakeet?
What was that one Mariah Carey movie?
It's like if it's not the Christmas song, I'm not gonna know anything about it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I feel like I could picture her on like the cover of something, but that might just literally be the cover of the Christmas album and not the cover of the movie. Can you ask it one more time, Pat?
What 2001 movie led one critic to write, Mariah Carey has the voice of a dove, but the acting range of a parakeet?
Could it be something bird oriented?
I was kind of thinking that, but I don't know that it'll help. I don't know, man. Mr. Deeds.
Is that a 2001 movie?
That's got to be close at this point. Probably not. It's probably still too old. I mean, Mr. Deeds is probably still too not that old.
I think Mr. Deeds was before 2001, but I don't know that for a fact.
What? No, I don't think so. Okay, Jumanji. Let's just go with Jumanji because I have no idea.
I also would have guessed Jumanji was older than 2001.
Depends which one you were talking about, but...
Well, it's either way newer or older.
Jumanji, Pat.
Sure, why not?
You guys agree?
Yeah,
I got nothing.
Mr. Deeds was 2002, Jumanji 1995. Randy, Evan, and Jaimen, what 2001 movie led one critic to write, Mariah Carey has the voice of a dove, but the acting range of a parakeet? I hope you weren't going to say Mr. Deeds, now that I think about it.
Really narrows it down. The only bird-themed movie on that theme that I can think of is Polly, which might have came out around there, but I don't know if that is actually even a right answer.
No, I think I remember when this came out, and I'm pretty sure the movie was called Glitter.
Oh, that rings a bell at least. I can't even think of a movie called Polly. I don't know if the bird thing is
Yeah, that might be
I don't know if that's a trick.
red herring.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that answer better. I was just going off of a movie that came out while I was a child that had a bird in it. I'm good with Glitter.
I think I'm good with it, yeah.
You guys agree?
Yep.
Yes.
I think Jaimen was thinking of Along Came Polly.
No.
No? With Jennifer Aniston?
No, this one it was like based on a bird.
Double down.
All right, that's cool. Is the glitter a disc?
I don't think so.
I got no feelings on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Evan because he was right the first time.
Yep.
Saying no?
Yep.
Correct.
No. You are correct.
All right.
And that was a steal?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I got you down 7-5 is your category. Category 1 or category 3?
I looked it up. It's called Polly. It's about a parrot. Paulie.
Like
So
shore.
Paulie. Oh, okay.
Yes. It's based off of a bird who thought he was Pauly Shore.
Wow.
I'd watch that.
Do you guys have any feeling on what category 1 is?
I have no clue now.
Zero. Misk.
I have more of a clue after that than I did before.
Oh, actually, I know exactly what it is. Never
Really?
mind.
Wow.
Yep.
That's impressive.
What am I missing?
I just read them all in order and added a word to the end.
Oh, I got it too. Okay, so is that a reason to finish that? Because
I think so.
I did not know the NWA lyric, but yeah, I think we should do category 1.
Yeah, let's just do one.
All right, final question, category 1, question 6. What was Tim Robbins' character's first name in the 1988 film Bull Durham? What was Tim Robbins' character's first name in the 1988 film Bull Durham?
I know it.
Good.
Okay. I was waiting to see if you guys had any guesses or wanted to tease it out.
I at least know the movie, but I couldn't tell you.
Tim Robbins was the pitcher, and Kevin Costner was the old, grizzled catcher. And Tim Robbins' character's name was Nuke LaRouche, I think was the last name, but Nuke was his first name.
Perfect.
I like it.
You guys agree?
Yes.
Lelouch, but close enough.
LaLouche? Okay.
It's semantics at this point. Is the nuke a disc?
It is.
Discraft.
Yep. Ulabari throws them on every hole.
What year?
I'm going to say 2009.
Anybody disagree?
No.
No, that's kind of what I was thinking.
October 31st, 2009, Discraft.
Nice.
All right, we are tied with 2 questions to go. Corey and Alex, question 5, category 3. According to Ice Cube in a 1992 song, one of the indicators of a good day is not having to use what? According to Ice Cube in a 1992 song, one of the indicators of a good day is not having to use what?
Damn it.
I mean, I have vague category guess, but I don't have the actual term.
Strap.
That sounds a lot. That sounds really good. I'm really happy with that.
I don't want to be like throwing out a bunch of words that come to my mind, but that's like the best one that comes to my mind.
It fits what I was thinking, and also is theoretically capable of being a disc name.
And I'm trying to think of words, other street names that are synonymous with this type of thing, and that also fits the lyric the best that I can think of it without knowing this word for a fact. And strap fits pretty well in my mind, so I say we say strap.
Let's do it.
You're saying like strap, like S-T-R-A-P?
Yeah.
Randy, Evan, and Jaimen, according to Ice Cube in a 1992 song, one of the indicators of a good day is not having to use what?
Pretty sure I know this one.
My first thought was gat.
No,
Darn it.
it rhymes with day. Didn't even have to use my AK. Damn right it was a good day.
Shoot.
I like it. I was thinking in that direction, but I couldn't come up with an actual word for it.
So I think Corey's right. I think it's a firearm, but I think he's talking about his AK-47.
That sounds great.
I love it.
Great. Okay.
You guys agree?
Yep.
Is the AK or the AK-47 a disc?
I think it is.
I think it
Probably,
is, yeah.
right? Okay, so yes.
Fly High Discs, February 6th, 2015.
Ooh, so it's named after a strain of weed, actually.
Oh,
That's one of the Scott Stokely's discs.
take your word for it.
Speaking of those, he put out the Osprey.
Mhm.
Osprey? How do you pronounce that?
You nailed it.
Osprey? There's already an Osprey. We did a question about it.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I double checked. It's still an active disc. So I don't know. Maybe it might be out of production though. Just because it's PDGA legal doesn't mean they're actually making it, right?
Yeah, I think he brought back some other out of production molds.
Yeah, a lot from Ching.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just buy trademarks from people that need the money, basically.
I believe that's who it was. The Osprey might have been Ching. I'm not sure. But all right, final question. If you get this wrong, they'll have a chance to tie you guys. This is for Randy, Evan, and Jaimen. Question 6, category 3. The title of a 1994 Beastie Boys song can be found by completing this lyric. 'Cause you can't, you won't, and you don't stop. Well, you can't, you won't, and you don't stop. Mike D, come and rock what? The title of a 1994 Beastie Boys song can be found by completing this lyric. 'Cause you can't, you won't, and you don't stop. Well, you can't, you won't, and you don't stop. Mike D, come and rock what?
Is it Sure Shot?
It sure is.
You guys agree?
Yes.
Yep.
Is the Sure Shot the disc?
Probably.
That sounds too good.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
You guys agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Disc Golf Association, January 1st, 1982.
Ooh, almost as old as me.
Congratulations, Randy, Evan, and Jaimen. They had you for a while there, but you came back.
Congratulations, Evan. I was happy to be around when you won.
Yeah, it was. I knew it was a risk doing but once I had a couple, I had to stick with the early rap.
Yeah.
That was really the only thing. And Randy, you figured out round 1 category?
Oh, it was just bombs.
Yeah, landmine's a bomb. Hail Mary's a type of bomb.
I am not familiar with a Hail Mary bomb, but the other ones for sure.
Like a football pass, it's a long bomb.
It's a long bomb.
That's fair. That's fair. I was thinking more of an actual explosive.
And then the other one was really just there was no, the answers weren't so much the category, it was just a rap category because I thought that would be fun.
Yeah. It started out pretty strong, but I did not know any of the last 2 in either one, so.
You know who else started out pretty strong? Matt Beaver and Bobby Hallam. They shot -10 at Shen Creek Dubs Week 2.
Wow, that was excellent.
Smooth, very smooth.
How long have you had that one in the chamber?
No, he set me up. Alex, speaking of which, Stonykillers Random Dubs, how'd that go?
Oh, it went nicely. I played with Jake. He's been playing very well. I think he won the first 2 weeks. And despite me throwing in for Eagle on 6, we were 1 behind Rory Tice and Andrew Dorrell. They were 13 down. We were 12 down.
Nice. The last few I got Disc Beat Club at Thacher State Park. Todd Everlith won that at -4. Florida Man Casual Dubs at CPS. Ryan Yadow and Peter Cornish shot a -6. SPW Dubs League. Dan Perry and John Duda shot a -12. And Long Island Sunday Dubs. John Nichols and Paul 2 shot a -11. Congratulations to all y'all. Anything coming up this weekend that's of note?
Are we still on track for podcast practice rounds at Heiser Creek?
Oh, what day? Was that the 19th?
I was thinking Saturday, if that's good with people. Yeah, I think that's the 19th.
I'm going to be in Utica.
I think Sunday would work better.
I think I signed up for the B tier on Saturday, so I might be in Lake George.
I'm down. I'll show you around.
Sounds like a plan.
Jamie, maybe you want to film some of his. No, there'll be plenty of footage. I'm sure you're going to film yourself on hole 12 at least once. So
I'll get some pictures in there.
It needs to be documented.
Yeah.
Prepping for what?
So the Heiser Creek April Showers is happening on the 27th, which is 2 weeks from now. And I have, as we've noted several times, I've never played Heiser Creek. So I'm looking to get out there for some practice rounds this weekend in preparation for that.
Oh, yeah. I'll get some reaction footage to Alex trying to figure out what to do on 16.
Yeah.
We also going to need footage of Alex on 12, please.
Oh, absolutely.
Is 16 the one with the basket in the OB?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
That's like the third most annoying thing about that hole.
We'll figure it out one way or another.
No, they're all fun. Heiser's a blast.
Just a quick update. The DisCap Monthly will be held at Heiser Creek this Saturday at 10 a.m.
All right. Well, thank you, Corey, Randy, Evan, Alex, Jaimen, Jasan, and Kaitlyn. And any birthdays?
Mike Weiss, his birthday just happened by the time this comes out.
Tucker Middleton today, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. And sweet up, Hudson. Thanks, Evan.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks.
I will go grab myself a Utica club to wash down my Utica chicken riggies I just had after eating Utica tomato pie all weekend.
Ugh, I mean,
I'll bring it back.
What makes chicken riggies Utica style?
I'm guessing he brought them from Utica. I think that's the whole
Utica.
deal. Yeah.
I mean, but like Utica pie is like a specific to like a tomato pie.
Yeah, it's not pizza.
yeah, if you make that in Brooklyn, it's still Utica tomato pie kind of thing, because nobody in Brooklyn would want to own that.
I think the name, I don't know if it's any different, but like Riggies as like a name is definitely Utica style.
Is that the name of a place?
No, it's a rigatoni.
No, like rigatoni.
Ah.
Chicken riggies?
Yeah, like what makes that different from just like any rigatoni pasta dish?
I don't know. They don't have the word chicken riggies, Utica all in one. I don't know.
I mean, that's what I was thinking. It's just specifically they call them Riggies in Utica, and that's why they're Utica chicken Riggies.
How would you normally make it? Like, what color sauce would you use?
Red.
Red.
I mean, it's pasta. It depends on what I'm making.
It does say a spicy, creamy Italian pasta dish originating from Utica, Rome area of New York State. Chicken riggies.
You think I was lying to y'all?
I just didn't know it came from Utica. Like, I just always thought it was just a normal pasta dish.
Yeah, no, I think the sauce is like the big difference. I mean, obviously the pasta is the same. But
Just like the spicy, creamy red sauce.
I don't think it's gotten very far out of Utica, I'll be honest with you.
There's a place in Schenectady, I think, that has a lot of this stuff, like Utica tomato
I've
pie.
seen it around here.
I've had it around here.
You all are closer to Utica.
Ah, fair.
You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
Like, I didn't mean like just Utica, but like, I don't think it's going like, I would almost argue statewide, but there's probably New Hampshire stuff up there, but I don't know. I've never.
I'm just going to start Googling like chicken riggies, like, California.
Yeah, I've never heard that until today.
Wow.
When you were asking about Utica, I thought it was just something he made up, you know?
I mean, I had heard of chicken riggies, but I didn't know it was from Utica. So
I'm not a culinary type, so I'm not the person to ask, but I've never heard of it.
All right, top 10 best chicken riggies near Silver Lake, California. Here we go. It has made it nationwide. There are 10 different places.
New Yorkers who've moved to California selling chicken riggies.
So what is it?
It's like a spicy red cream sauce with chicken and like rigatoni.
Is there like sausage in it too? Is it like
No, what the fuck?
No, I'm just wondering where the spice comes from. I don't know.
I don't think, not like spicy hot. It's just like the spices in it.
Yeah. A flavorful, sorry, I should have said flavorful red.
Like tomato pie is all about like the spices they use in tomato sauce, and it's not a spicy sauce. Although this does, I'm kind of glad you bring this up, Randy, because I have a whole thing about if cinnamon's a spice and there's a lot of cinnamon in something, then how come it's not spicy?
I mean,
Just 'cause it's not
big
hot?
red is spicy and cinnamon is the spice in it.
I'm pretty sure I went through this before, so I'm not going to all rehash it out. But
Your contention is that if it's a spice, if you put it on something, it makes that thing is now spicy.
I mean, kind of. If something is got a lot of sport in it, wouldn't you consider it sporty?
I don't think that was the line of thinking we should go down.
A lot of cars, they call them sporty, so I don't know.
It's a sensation, Corey. It doesn't matter if there's some spice. It has to be enough to be spicy.
That's how you perceive it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, words mean
It's like
things.
a snickerdoodle cookie is not spicy because there's cinnamon in it. Now, if there was too much cinnamon, it would be spicy.
A lot of English words mean multiple things too. That's
true.
No, that's only the way I think they mean.
But yes, you can get a tomato pie in Hollywood, California.
Right.
So unfortunately,
I'm just interesting. I mean, after hearing it described, it sounds like basically any other chicken and pasta dish I've ever heard, just different variations. You know what I mean? Chicken, sauce, pasta. It's just whatever, you just mix and match.
They figured out a way.
Mm.